What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the WrestlePurists podcast. I am Montel. I am joined by the lovely Isra and Hollywood hangman Adam Pierce. And we're here to talk about the latest news, a little bit of dynamite, and kind of the usual. Don't know how long we're going to be here, but we're here. I'll start with you, Hollywood. How you doing? And I'll let you introduce our new guest.
Absolutely. Everybody, thank you for having me. I apologize for running just a little bit late, just
Yeah.
just a tad bit. I'm excited to be here. It's another Thursday as usual, and like Monty said, we have a new guest. It's the debuting Isra. Isra's making her very first WrestlePurists podcast appearance. To my knowledge, this is her first wrestling podcast appearance in general. So hope everybody gives her a warm welcome because we're gonna have a lot of fun and talk about shit. Isra, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. I'm excited to get into everything that's been happening. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Isra, just to let the people know, like, how long have you been watching wrestling? Like, what's your story there?
Well, I watched it as a kid for a few years, like with my
Hmm.
dad. And I
Yeah.
kind of stopped watching in '09, but I kind of rediscovered my love for wrestling in like 2015-ish, like around the
Hmm.
Shield era.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with them. I was obsessed with Danielson, and I've been stuck here basically ever since. So
Man, I'm really sorry to hear that, but that's a lot of people's story. It seems like the mid 2010s with some of the indie boom and NXT kind of really popping off was a lot of other people's returning point, myself included.
Yeah,
Um,
loads of people.
so yeah,
The
yeah.
drop-off
So
point's pretty much the same for a lot of people as well. Like the late
PG starting.
2000s, early 2010s. Like a lot of people were just like,
Yeah,
I'm sick of this.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can't do this no
Exactly.
more.
Exactly,
Yeah, man.
exactly. So yeah, no, I'm not surprised to hear that. It's good to have a new perspective on Russell Pierce,
Yes.
because Israel has, again, very unique views and perspectives on pro wrestling, and we're probably gonna see a little bit of that when we get into some of these shows and stuff. Um, so what did you want to go through first, Monty? Because it was a very, very eventful and newsworthy day yesterday when
Yeah,
it
it's
comes
been a
to
wild past couple of days, really. So we'll start
crazy.
with the huge story. Well, there's two
Yes.
huge stories to be honest, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll start with
Mm-hmm.
Vince McMahon. So
Yeah.
there was a report that recently emerged in the Wall Street Journal regarding an ongoing investigation by the WWE board into a secret $3 million settlement reached by Vince McMahon with a former employee that he allegedly had an affair with.
Yeah.
The former employee in question had been hired as a paralegal in 2019, with an agreement
Mm-hmm.
reached in 2022 prohibiting her from discussing her relationship with Mr. McMahon. Um, the report also indicated that the board had uncovered previous non disclosure agreements involving claims by other former female WWE employees regarding misconduct on behalf of McMahon, along with head of talent relations John Laurinaitis. Wall Street Journal were unable to clarify how many NDAs there were, but apparently there is a fair amount of them. Whilst the amount paid in non-disclosure is yet to be determined by the board, one source noted that it was in the millions. Another revelation from the report was that McMahon's personal funds were used to pay the former female employees. These funds were not limited to McMahon's own NDAs, as he also helped out Laurinaitis with his. Um,
Jesus fucking Christ.
it's a crazy story. Obviously, then later on, it was then touched on by Sean Rossap on
Yeah.
Fightful Select, and that was kind of more reaction stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, apparently the relationship between Vince McMahon and the paralegal in question was suspected by many in the company.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, she was promoted to John Laurinaitis' assistant to no, she was promoted to John Laurinaitis' assistant. And received pretty substantial pay rise. I think that's kind of what the case is more about, to be honest.
Yeah,
Because of
yeah.
course,
It
with NDAs happen all the time.
mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's been said by many people already. Because we're kind of late on it, to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, NDAs happen all the time in these big companies. It's just that if he's using company money for them, then
That's where there's the issue. You're not supposed
that's
to do
where
that.
the investigation kind of comes up.
Yeah.
People were asking about Stephanie McMahon's absence being tied to it. She would have had knowledge of the investigation, but as far as we know, we don't know if it's tied to this or not. I doubt it. I don't know. And apparently, there's people within the company who think this is the biggest threat to McMahon since the steroid trial. And
Mhm.
another note was that one female talent, when talking about John Laurinaitis being promoted to head of talent relations, they said, where was it? I'd rather get all my shit sent to me in a trash bag when I get fired than have to deal with him, and neither are good options. That's a direct quote as well.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So yeah, it's a lot of information that I've just had to roll off, but I'm sure obviously you know what's going on by now. So yeah, I'll start with you, Hollywood. What's your takes and thoughts, and where's this going? Kick us off.
Holy fucking shit! Like this is a bomb. This is monumental. When this hit Twitter yesterday, it made me late for work because of how crazy it is. Like Vince McMahon, like this is the guy who is seemingly Teflon, right? Like he beat the federal government. You know what I mean? He's beaten the law before. He's done all kinds of things over the last 40 years that would incriminate a normal man, would ruin the business of a normal human being. But you know, lucky for him, pro wrestling is a very fucking weird business. And one where it just these things that, you know, you'd think in any other field, it's like any half of them would just take him down. It seems like his empire just gets stronger and stronger. This guy's making record profits, right? My reaction to this is so many things. I think this situation, when you look into the details, there's so many conspiracies to be had and made. There's so many jokes to be made. There's so many conclusions to be drawn. I mean, there's so many angles to even tackle this. There's the angle of, first of all, Vince McMahon was paying an extra $100,000 to somebody just to have sex with them. Like, that's kind of insane. There's the fact that Vince McMahon still has sex at 75. There's the Linda angle.
Is he 76?
76. You know, I know they called him the genetic jackhammer, but man, I mean, I didn't think Blue Chew was that effective. But that notwithstanding, you know, there's that angle. There's the whole God, like this guy, him and Johnny Ace, like no wonder. You know, like there's been so much talk over the years of Vince and his old boy stable, and him and Ace and Kevin Dunn and Bruce Pritchard, and how these guys are like conjoined at the hip, and how Vince is so attached to these guys. And we're kind of seeing the extent of it. Like these guys are just sharing women and dabbling in each other's grime and all getting in the fucking pool of mud together and shit. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And the funny thing, Monty, is, and it's probably not funny, it's probably like really fucking dark, but like this is probably just the surface. Like there's probably so much more about what these guys are up to and what they do.
Like it said in the report, there's multiple NDAs. It's just that this is the one that could be incriminating.
Monty, listen, man, when it comes to rich old men, they probably do whatever they want, right? And because they have the money to just kind of pull it off and then just kind of like keep it quiet, right? And so I'm sure these dudes on a regular basis are just doing all kinds of insane shit and just cutting checks, right? We have a friend here of the WrestlePurists podcast. His name is AO. AO will at some point soon debut on the WrestlePurists podcast. But one of the sentiments that he says, because he studies law, is that Jerry McDevitt, who's WWE's longtime super lawyer, he always says Jerry McDevitt is not really him. You know, Jerry McDevitt is known as being Vince's guy, his guy who bails him out, the guy who takes care of all the situations. But AO pointed out very correctly that Jerry McDevitt is a glorified check cutter. This guy essentially gets handed situations that Vince is in and just basically writes off checks and settlements. And that's just kind of how Vince gets by with so many things. But with this situation, you know, it's not as simple as cutting a check. He's going to have to basically prove that, one, Vince McMahon wasn't using company money when he paid this woman, when he gave her a raise. Because, again, he's going to have to prove, or maybe it's not, the burden of proof is not on them, but the situation is they're going to have to say that this woman's raise was merit-based and not because of a sexual relationship. Because, again, that's illegal. You cannot basically, you know, pay to solicit for sex in the working space. So that's going to have to be proven. And then secondly, if it was a situation like that, it had to have been Vince using his personal money and not company money, because again, that's forbidden. If Vince is kind of caught on either of these two things, you know, again, people in the corporate world say that Vince will be voted out because Les would take out other CEOs. But this is the wrestling world, and as I've already said, it's just a really weird and different fucking world. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. That's just insane. And because WWE is insane, they're just going to continue to put on their TV and just like no sell it, obviously on screen. So we'll see what happens there. And then there's the Nick Khan angle that I will address afterwards. But I kind of want to give Isra a chance to kind of wait.
Hole.
Yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole, the Nick Khan side, which I will get into. But I kind of want to hear Isra's initial thoughts on some of this.
Well, first of all, as a woman, I'm always going to give every single perspective coming from a woman because I feel like we're very underrepresented in this wrestling space. Mm-hmm. So for me, obviously, like I'm very disgusted by this whole story, but mostly I'm disgusted by the fact that they're pushing this whole women's revolution on TV, but then they're soliciting like behind the scenes women and we have like no idea. And the thing that gets me is like whenever stories like this come out, it's never just one person. This is just what happened to have leaked. To me, imagine how many more women that he did this to or attempted to do this to and just completely like was swept under the rug. Because these women might have been like intimidated by him and then just taken some kind of hush money and just like went about their business. But that's just unacceptable. Like, I think a story like this should definitely provoke more women to speak out about it because I know for a fact that there's going to be more women that have had this same experience. And honestly, more women wrestlers too from the past because I honestly suspect that they have a lot of dirt on McMahon too. Because
it's probably even worse the more you go back.
I saw earlier someone posted a transcript from AJ Lee's book where she was talking about someone from talent relations.
John Laurinaitis.
Has it all, in the ring and talent-wise, whatever, but she's not like quote unquote fuckable. Yes. And then she was talking about how that made her feel, and it's like how is that even acceptable in the workplace? Like that's completely fucking inappropriate. And like imagine all the other women wrestlers that have had to deal with that in the past and probably currently too.
I think just even if, and look, we know that in just the entertainment world, obviously they want to get people that are attractive, right, on television, right? We know that this is just a thing. We know that, for better or for worse, in general, sex sells. But even with all that notwithstanding, I just think it's so like out of line for like someone like Johnny Ace or anyone in talent relations to just go right to a woman's face and tell them like, people just don't want to have sex with you, and I just think that's just so like out of line. It's just so out of line. Let's
So they don't know how old they are. Like
you're an old ass man just talking to this person, and it's like, we just can't push you because people don't want to fuck you. Because look, on so many levels, that's just so like I can get into why that's just so like messed up. You know what I mean? Like number one, it's like you're what, a 65-year-old dude. What do you know about like what people want? Number one. Number two, it's pro wrestling. It's pro wrestling. That shouldn't always be a requisite, in my opinion. Again, it's good to have good-looking people on your programs, but it's just like for that to be something to hold like anyone's career back is so fucked up. So on so many levels, that's just really messed up. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about this, Israel?
To be honest, I know it's been a whole 24 hours. I still don't feel like I processed that whole story. I still
it's a lot.
Like I won't even know what to think until like I really think about it. It's just nasty. I don't know if you heard me in this space, but I was saying some nasty things about McMahon and what I think should happen to him. But that's not what this is about. But yeah, I'm more excited to see how this develops, and then I hope that the justice system does its job and he doesn't again get off easy like he always seems to. I think he thinks that he's invincible, and that's a problem.
He does.
That's a problem.
And
that's
there's so many like this could cause such a massive domino effect for the entire industry. Depending on like how this goes. And it's crazy, Monty. I think in general the backstage internal power struggle of WWE is like potentially it's so fascinating. It's more like, I gotta say this, WWE is so interesting right now. Not the shows, but WWE. Like their shows are their shows. But when it comes to like what's going on behind the scenes, when it comes to like the internal politics and what's really going on with like Triple H and Stephanie and how they relate to Vince and who's really on whose side and whether that is dependent on family or not, and what Nick Khan's role is. It's really fascinating. There's so many ways to tackle this. There's the obvious reality of the fact that, like, Vince McMahon is obviously a billionaire abusing his power and his money, and he's doing so while putting his boys on while doing it. There's the angle of just how, like, embarrassing it is that this story kind of leaked, in my opinion. Like, I just think it's, like, really nasty and, like, just pathetic somewhat. Like, there's so many jokes to just be made about this fucking 75-year-old man acting like a college student, just running through women and just passing it off to his boys like a frat boy, and just throwing like hundreds of thousands of dollars to just kind of like keep it quiet. There's that whole angle, and like just the fact that, like, again, I feel so bad for any woman that has to fuck John Laurinaitis. Genuinely, I feel
either
so
of them, bro.
Like, yeah,
saying that like Vince is very better.
Here's the thing, Vince is probably really bad too, but I could at least. I feel like if I was a woman and I had to publicly admit that, there's like some mild dignity in that he's like the CEO of a giant corporation. And so it's like, I feel like most people would be like, I fucking get it. But like John Laurinaitis, it's like, who is he, bro? He's like, it's John Laurinaitis. You know what I mean?
I think it's more so the fact that you're getting passed around. I mean, if it was anyone else, it would still be as demeaning. Like, it's bad enough that it's the whatever chairman or CEO or whatever of the company.
Yeah.
Abusing his power, but then when he's literally just like passing you off to like his stooges,
his crusty ass fucking stooges. Yeah, it really sucks. There's so much. And then here's the thing I want to say also, Monty, the Nick Khan angle. This guy, he came into WWE.
Getting into some reckless speculation.
No, it's not.
You have a whole conspiracy theory.
I do. This guy came into the company 2 years ago, and he came in from the sports world. He was an agent. He's basically known as a money man. He's the guy who's seen as a guy who, he comes in, and his goal is to make Vince McMahon more money. That was the initial goal of Nick Khan. Come in and raise the profits of the WWE. And on the surface, he has done that. 2 consecutive years of record profits, right? But think of all the wholesale changes to the entire company and how they do things in just 2 years. How much of that was Nick Khan induced, and how much of it was it really to the benefit of the company when you really think about it? Like, let's look at this, Monty. He comes in and he convinces Vince McMahon after 5 to 7 years of not really releasing people on a yearly basis, because that used to be the old habit, right? Spring cleaning, you get rid of the jobbers. That was the thing, right? Spring post WrestleMania, you get rid of the guys you're not using. It's usually about 8 to 15 people, right? But in recent years, the company had been hoarding talents. They anybody worth a damn, they kept, right? Because the idea was, we want to corner the market on anyone talented, even including indie wrestlers. There's gonna be some brand on the promotion that you could wrestle in, whether it's 205 Live or NXT or whatever it is, right? Including they did the Mae Young Classic to get the talented women's wrestlers around the world, and that was the idea. You hoard, even if you don't use everybody, you hoard so that talented people don't go elsewhere. That was the mindset, right? Nick Khan comes in and he tells Vince McMahon, no. The real way is to cut people. Budget cuts, buddy. It doesn't matter if they're good. It doesn't matter if this and that, or it doesn't matter if the competition could use them. Just cut people. Even if they're on TV, just fucking cut them. He convinced Vince McMahon that, it's okay to push talents like Braun Strowman or Bray Wyatt or whoever. Even if they go to the competition, you're cutting budget. And Vince McMahon, who was in the previous mindset of hoarding to the point where he wouldn't even cut people that wanted to leave, like Brody Lee, God rest his soul, now he's convinced to just get rid of guys that are making money for him, guys that are over, guys that had potential. And now we got into a cycle of basically every 3 months, he's cutting people that are directly aiding his competition. And to me, I always thought that was just a little bit questionable, Mr. Nick Khan. And then we have the changes in NXT. NXT was very viable. NXT was selling out basketball arenas for their takeovers, right? And they failed to kill AEW in the Wednesday Night Wars. But again, NXT was taking in indie guys, getting them over.
Were they ever going to?
No, but that was the belief. The belief was kill NXT, kill AEW, right? But WWE and Vince McMahon was convinced Triple H had failed in his job. And so Nick Khan aided in the decision making to basically, essentially oust Triple H from power, and now NXT has been completely changed. And by completely changing the direction of NXT, yeah, as a result of the changes in NXT, WWE has completely changed course when it comes to and allowing indie wrestlers to come in. And so now they completely handed that side of the market over to Tony Khan, which is another thing that I just thought was very interesting. So now you have that, right? And so I began to get a little conspiracy-like on my Twitter. I said, listen, man, maybe Tony Khan and Nick Khan are in cahoots. Maybe they're actually on the same. Maybe it's an inside job. Because Monty, did you notice that when Malachi Black was fired,
coming out with Russo shit,
bro, it's all a work, bro. It's a work. Listen, Nick Khan worked Vince McMahon into doing budget cuts. Think about this. Malachi Black was fired in June, but he showed up on AEW in July. How is that possible? Isn't he supposed to have a 90-day? How is it only a 30-day? Who could have maybe been privy to this information and helped out with documents? I don't know. I'm just saying shit, right? And then there's and then there's a case of Bryan Danielson, and then there's a case of the New Japan deal. The first deal we heard about was that WWE and New Japan were working to have a deal put together, and we were told that Nick Khan was tasked with getting that deal done, but it wasn't done. I don't know what happened there, but Nick Khan's supposedly the money guy. He's supposedly the deal maker. How did he not get a deal done with New Japan? That's kind of strange. He didn't get it done. Bryan Danielson said he would have stayed in WWE if they did get it done, but they didn't get it done. And then all of a sudden, Tony Khan is talking to New Japan. Kind of strange there. I don't know. Is it a gift wrap? I don't know. I'm just saying things. I'm not confirming nothing. I'm just saying things.
It kind of feels like the work that Triple H put in on like talent scouting with NXT and building up the talent NXT was completely put to waste.
Yeah.
Most of those guys are in AEW now.
Completely. Yeah.
He's like so demoralized by like how this whole thing turned out. Like literally his whole entire thing got torn down. His staff from NXT was fired. All the people that he built up are literally on the other show.
Bro, I'll be real, you see all this shit with Triple H the past year.
Yeah.
The way he's been like kind of kicked to the curb by Vince and stuff. Obviously the heart issues now. Yeah. He's a babyface to me now, bro.
I agree. I know some people try to like be a bit edgy about it and say like, no, fuck him too. And I mean, you could, if you want to go that route, you can. And
he's done some bad stuff.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, no, and I'm gonna let you cook on that, Israel.
NXT stand at its height. Thanks to
I agree. Yes. There's a lot of revisionist history on NXT and how we felt about NXT. And NXT wasn't. I had my slight issues with it towards the end. But the bottom line is, like, Monty, if you were there, you remember, like, when NXT was really at its prime with the takeovers and stuff, like, the hardcore wrestling fans loved NXT. And Triple H rebranded himself as, like, the god of that type of fan base. You know what I mean? Like, the way people treat Tony Khan now, that's how Triple H is getting treated. And because he could cut a promo, he could get that shit from the live fans. You knew Hunter loved that shit, coming out to the live crowd and just being
he still does it now. Like, you know when he came out for Ciampa.
Yeah. He fucking loves that shit. Back when he was the god of like the hardcore fans in the mid 2010s, walking out there with his big fucking chest and the suit and stuff. With, we are NXT. You knew he fucking loved all that shit, bro. He loved being a babyface. It was the most over he'd ever been as a babyface, really. So. Yeah, people love NXT, and it's crazy how everything turned out. I do sympathize with him to a degree, and I joked about it, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if part of what affected in his health issues is finding out what's going to happen over the next couple months. That man, Nick Khan, probably brought that man into a dark room, strapped him up, and said, "Listen, so this is what NXT is actually going to become." And he played that Wale fucking theme song, and Hunter just collapsed into the ground. He told that man Walter's name is going to be Gunther, and he just started getting woozy. He told him, "Look, I'm going to give them Adam Cole. I'm going to give them Kyle O'Reilly." And he said, "Oh, wait, what?" I'm telling you,
it must have been stressful. And just going head to head with AEW every week and getting shit kicked out of you when it was inevitable. Then probably going into the offices every week and getting it blamed on you.
Exactly.
So he had a stressful year before the heart issues, definitely. So.
And ultimately, Nick Khan got him out of the picture, essentially. And now we have Stephanie McMahon taking a leave of absence. What, 2 weeks before this story comes out? You know,
doesn't she know? Her and Triple H know about like what was happening with Vince and them.
Dave Meltzer said that. Dave Meltzer said that they had to have known. But what he said was that we don't know for sure if that's why Stephanie took the leave of absence, but that she had to have known. Yeah, based on the timing. Meaning, listen, man. Again, is it reckless speculation? Sure. But maybe Steph was like, "Yeah, I'm not a part of this.
This is reckless speculation.
This is reckless. This is not a report from WrestlePurists. This is not a report from WrestlePurists." But again, who knows? Maybe Nick Khan told Steph, "Look, man, I'm about to cook your family. I'm about to. It's over for your dad. So do you want to just bow out gracefully, take care of the kids, and stay out of that, or do you want to be part of the bloodbath?" And she said, "I know about my fucking dad, so I'm gonna just step aside. You do what you got to do to that nigga." You know what I mean? I'm sure Stephanie knows all about her dad. You know what I mean? So,
where do we think this is? What's going to happen going forward? Because I don't really see much.
I'll tell you what's going to happen.
John Laurinaitis is probably going to take the fall.
Yes,
as a Fightful Select alluded to in their report.
Yes.
But long term, it's like you said, it's one of the most fascinating stories going at the moment. It's like even if Vince survives all this, he's still 76. I'm
gonna tell you exactly what's gonna happen, Monty. Laurinaitis is gonna jump on the grenade. It's over for John Laurinaitis. Vince is gonna give him a severance package. He's gonna live quietly with a wad of money away from this. He's gonna make a really shitty podcast where he just like buries like non-WWE content on the podcast and just acts like WWE is amazing. And he's just going to kind of hang tight and hope he gets his job back in a couple years. Vince McMahon is going to probably skate by this because it'll be tough to prove exactly the terms of the agreements when it comes to the payments and the raises and things like that.
They'll just say it was a different job. Because she changed job role, and we've actually got $100,000 raise.
So Vince is gonna, because he's a fighter and he doesn't like doing the job.
I have a question about your conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
So with the whole Nick Khan basically like taking down the whole McMahon family like single-handedly, do you just think that Vince is stupid and like he doesn't realize that he's doing all that?
I think yes. I joked about this and I semi-believe it. I think Nick told Vince what was going to happen about like, look, I'm going to get you mad money. We're going to set this up. We'll probably sell the company at some point. You're going to get like really fucking rich over it. But look, I might cook your family, but it's going to be me and you. It's going to be me and you, bro. You know what I'm saying? And at the end, Vince got worked because it's not me and you. It's just me in regards to Nick. So again, short term, Laurinaitis is jumping on the grenade. It's done for him. Long term, look, Vince is going to skate out of this, but I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, Monty. In the coming weeks and months, more and more things are going to come out on Vince. It's going to be like a gauntlet.
Yeah.
Because
Meltzer said that earlier because it's gone so mainstream and rightfully so. Like if all the other media is going to jump on it, like TMZ are going to drop something mad about it or something.
It's going to get nastier and nastier for Vince, and so it's almost up to him. Do you want to bow out now while this story's out, but it's not as incriminating as maybe some other stuff that you potentially have done? Or do you want to fight this and be stubborn and continue to hold on to the WWE while more people come out and say certain things and reveal certain things that are even more incriminating, more nasty, more just, reputation?
He's going to hold it out, bro. Like,
he's stubborn. He would literally
die in the chair, bro.
Yes, he'll die in the chair. He doesn't like doing the job. When that man beat the government, for him, it was like, bro, I'm God. You know what I'm saying? When he beat the government, it was over for him. So that's what's going to happen. Johnny Ace out. Vince is going to hold on, and he's going to be kicking and screaming. It's going to be like an arcade mode of a fighting game because he's just going to continue to just fight this off, and you're going to get more and more stories coming out.
What do you think is going to happen in the end, Israel? How do you see it?
And I think John Laurinaitis is going to be the fall guy. He's going to look like a jackass in front of America. And he's just going to take full responsibility for everything. And Vince is going to keep skating by like he always does. I know Hangman was talking about AO he has whatever it was that he was saying about Vince's lawyer not really being him.
Yes.
I don't know about all that. All I know is their legal team won before with the steroid trial, and that was literally all over the news. Like,
yes,
was talking about it. I do see this being as big as that. Maybe it depends how nasty the story goes, like how much more people speak out, how much more evidence comes out, whatever the case might be. But I think John Laurinaitis is going to take full blame.
You know, it would be so funny, Monty, kind of in a morbid way, if this man Laurinaitis, they put the gun in his head and he goes out to the meeting. He's just like, Vince McMahon was unaware of the relationship I had with this mistress and had no involvement in my misconduct with this woman. McMahon was completely, it went all under his nose. He had nothing to do with it. It was all me and this person. Vince was completely absolved of all of this. And Vince is out there talking to me like, I don't even know about what John was doing. I didn't even.
Bro, I wish I was a fly on the wall right now over there.
Bro, they're getting the script ready, bro. Vince is like, look, bro, you're getting cooked. I'm not going down. It's you, dog. So let's get this right. Let's get the script ready. And they're putting it together, you know. And Nick Khan is at the end of that room, like, yeah. That's definitely the script we're going with, guys. That's definitely the script we're going with. While his phone is recording in the back pocket, you know. So, you know. This is what always happens. Stuff comes out, and it's always someone in the company always has to basically go like, Vince didn't even know about this, and Vince always goes like, I didn't know about this, bro. This shit was just happening. You know, well, Vince is like in the room.
It's messy, man. It's
messy stuff.
Messy. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. I guess the big thing is if anything more comes out, especially with all the
it will
all the big outlets covering it and stuff. That's when it will get really interesting. But that being said, obviously everything that's already gone on is it's a lot. Look, it's a lot to digest because wrestling media moves so fast and news comes out all the time. Like even when something huge like this drops, like in a week's time, it'll be kind of
old news.
You know, yeah, old news, and it's just these will probably stick around because any sort of detail about it will be like headline news. So
yes,
I guess we'll see how it plays out and how long John Laurinaitis actually lasts from this point. So far, he's made it 24 hours, I think.
I'm giving him a week.
A week?
Yes, I'm giving him a week.
Did talk about this on his podcast?
What did you say?
Did you hear what Pat McAfee was talking about?
Yeah, you saw the clip.
Yeah, he went nuts. He was talking about how like he doesn't know anything and like how crazy this is and he doesn't know what's gonna happen like when he goes to work or whatever.
It's so funny because Booker T, right? I don't know if you know this, Monty. Booker T was like, we're not gonna address what's out there about Vince McMahon. I'm just not gonna speak on that. Meanwhile, Pat McAfee's on this thing like, man, you guys hear about that shit with Vince? Like, holy fucking shit! Like, a lot of people were saying a lot of stuff, and there's memes and there's threads, and wow, like I gotta work tomorrow. Like, holy fuck! Like, I don't know what's going on. I didn't know about.
No, it's crazy. I don't know if you heard the Observer Radio yet, but Dave was like, Vince and Johnny Ace and everyone are just gonna try and carry on as normal while they're dealing with it. So like Friday SmackDown, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be there as normal, and obviously, you know, you talk to people, you ask around, and apparently it's mayhem around there. So I don't know what's.
That's a scoop from Monty right there. There's backstage chaos going on right now. Dude's probably scrambling.
I think it's more just like talent wondering what the fuck's going on. Then obviously the Sasha story as well, which we'll get into in a minute. Like people, people genuinely don't know what's going on. Like,
guys, think about this, right? Everybody's getting hurt. Vince and John Laurinaitis might get taken down and cooked. They got to show up to work regardless. And then like Sasha's potentially fired, and we don't know. Who knows and why it happened? Like, it's just a scramble right now. And it's like, how do you build the SummerSlam when the people who are supposed to be making the decisions on how to build the SummerSlam might not be here? You know, it's crazy.
It's yeah. I'm sure I would love to be, like Israel said earlier, I'd love to be on a fly on the wall at the moment in those executive offices.
Yeah,
in the locker room everywhere because it's just crazy at the moment. So yeah, going into the Sasha Banks thing. So Sasha Banks has reportedly been released by WWE, according to Wrestling Inc.'s founder and owner, Raj Giri. It is yet to be confirmed by other outlets, and I'm sure that everyone's been trying to find out and get to the bottom of this, and it seems like it's been pretty under wraps, to be honest. There hasn't been a talent memo sent out. I believe that was also in the Fightful Select report. But yeah, Hollywood, I know you talk to people and stuff, but it seems like no one actually, like, genuinely doesn't know what's going on. Like I said, the talent memo hasn't been sent around, like, which is normal practice. Yeah, and obviously the thing that got me, sorry to cut you off, but the thing that got me as well is that it wasn't just like Raj said, Sasha's been released. Like, apparently, according to Select Report, like, lawyers were involved.
Were involved.
And, you know what I mean? Like, there was details to it. And to be honest, like, I know a lot of people, you know, a lot of people in the wrestling space, they're going to question everything unless it comes from Sean Ross Sapp. Like, that's where we've got to at this point. I don't know where Israel's gone. Is she back? Is she back? Yeah, she's back. One second. thought we lost her. But yeah, pretty much unless Sean Ross Sapp
reappeared under me. Now she's under me.
Sean Ross Sapp, unless it's Sean Ross Sapp, a lot of wrestling fans are always question it, and it's always fair to question news and stuff. Okay, but and you know, Raj Giri isn't Sean Ross Sapp, but just it's not something I don't see. There's been no point in him putting his neck on the line. It's not like he's some new guy trying to make a name for himself. Like he's got wrestling Inc. He's
like if you're wrong on this,
literally one of the biggest wrestling websites in the world. Like,
I mean, aside from just that, it's like if he tweets this and he's wrong, like it's the end of his career. So like, why would you even risk that if you're wrong? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he does. He's reported stuff in the past, but he's just not a scoopster. So I kind of get the skepticism around believing him, and obviously it's always important to say that Sasha's reportedly been released because obviously it hasn't been confirmed. There hasn't been a talent memo sent around, but obviously the detail about the lawyers being involved and stuff could mean it's been dealt with differently.
Yes,
I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I've asked around.
I heard a few small things, and here's what I can tell you. So, you know, when WWE makes the decision, like they're just cutting somebody, that's when you get the internal memo. That's when you just get, you know, the usual Sean Ross Sapp tweet and stuff like that. Because that's usually when Johnny Ace is making a round of cuts and he's making the phone calls, and then there you go, right? This is not that situation. If lawyers are involved, it's because of one very specific thing. They're involved because the company doesn't want to do a release, and that talent probably wants to release, and maybe wants it without a no-compete clause. And here's the funny thing. People have made this point before in the past that, you know, no-competes do not hold up in the court of law.
Yeah.
They don't. No-compete clauses where you get fired and you have to just be stationary for 90 days do not hold up legally. WWE wrestlers are independent contractors, and if anyone ever questioned this in court, they would likely win the case, right? But nobody ever bothers to, because it's just like, all right, well, that's just what they do, and I don't want to make this complicated for myself, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Because anytime wrestlers have kind of tried to fight the circumstances of their contracts when it comes to that type of thing, WWE usually do vindictive things to fuck with your career. This has happened with Brock Lesnar in 2004, where WWE tried to get this guy to like essentially be pinned to a deal where he can't wrestle for any promotion. I think until like 2014 or something like that. It was insane. But the bottom line is nobody ever fights it. But you know who's a fighter? You know who doesn't give a fuck? Sasha Banks. So Sasha Banks. So if she wants,
let me get into that actually.
Yeah, exactly.
First of all, Sasha's never been one to how do I want to say this? Well, she's not a coward. She's always stood up for herself. Every time that WWE has tried to fuck her over, like how many times has she left us high and dry, basically? And every time she leaves, she just goes radio silent. Like no one will ever know what's going on. So I don't think we're gonna honestly hear any news about this until like official statements are made from her legal team. But
she's so funny, yo. Continue.
No, she is.
Yeah.
But no, I think this is. I do think that she's trying to leave. But I don't know. Like, this kind of makes me think like, who's gonna go with her? Like, is Naomi gonna join? Is Bayley gonna leave too? Like, what's the backlash after Sasha leaves? Like, what do you think, Hangman?
It's tough. It's tough one. He's on
Sorry,
me.
I'm like eating right now. I'm not gonna lie. Monty, cover for me.
All right.
Oh, cool. If Sasha leaves, I've said this for a minute now. Even before like the Sasha walkout. When talking about actual game changers in this business, like it's like WWE got Cody, that's amazing for them. AEW got Danielson. AEW got Danielson. They got Cole. Obviously, CM Punk is one of the outlaws because he has been a legitimate game changer for them. But in terms of who's left and what moves could change the game, I do think the only people left are like Sasha and Roman. Roman's obviously never going anywhere. He's their golden boy. He's always going to be looked after very nicely. Sasha, on the other hand, obviously she's requested a release before, bro. She's done it, as Isra said earlier. Sometimes she just fucks off for a bit. Sometimes she just disappears for a bit, and she does her own thing, man.
It's very clear that when upon returning, Vince throws new perks at her to like keep her. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It always feels like she's just like, man, I'm done with this. And then she comes back after a couple months, and you get all the thank you, Mr. McMahon tweets. Like he's just this guy. I'll swirl you with this, and I'll give you this, and I'll give you that, because Sasha Banks doesn't need wrestling. She doesn't need WWE. Like she does this.
In my opinion, like the situation that happened with the walkout, I said something about this on Twitter, and I feel like I could have worded it differently. It was basically character assassination. What they did with Naomi and Sasha, like publicly humiliating them, is not something that WWE should be forgiven. The way that they handled it, like they completely tried to like besmirch both of their names. And if these things usually happen behind the scenes, then okay, you can make the case that they can try to like work things out internally. But after that public humiliation, like in my opinion, Sasha should publicly tell them to fuck off. I mean, obviously she's handling it with her legal team, which is a lot smarter. But I feel like if she wants to, she should be petty, because that shit that they did with her was very petty. And she deserves better than how they did her and Naomi multiple times.
Exactly. And so, listen, if lawyers are involved, Monty, it's 100% Sasha. Like, yo, cut me, Vince. And Vince's like, of course I'm not gonna do that. And she's like, fucking cut me. And he's like, he's probably like, I'm not doing that. And she's like, bet, I'll get my lawyers. And and because again, Vince is a fighter, and he doesn't want to listen. Sasha Banks, he does not want to give that to AEW or any other place. And so, he's already gonna be like, yo.
That's what makes me think she's actually gone. Like, and the report is to be believed. To be honest,
that's what I'm saying. I think
you want it is. It's like you see how you mentioned like WWE, the stubborn Vince don't want to. We don't want to back down. You don't want to release her. Like WWE, if they've took the L in this situation, maybe that's why.
Which they did.
That's why there's a bit of delay with sending the talent memo out, with doing, making it actual public confirmed.
Because they're gonna try to prolong it. They're going to prolong it and fight it legally as long as they can. And maybe in the meantime, you see if I just don't see this happening at this point, especially once it gets legal. I don't think there's a chance for Vince to kind of talk her out of it or convince her, unless he's literally just dumping obscene amounts of money at her. I don't on an emotional level, I don't think he's going to be like, come on, like, you want to come back. Da, da, da. Like at that point, it's gotten to a point now where I'm sure it's like, no, you drag my name through the mud and I don't want to do this anymore. So, well, again, once legal's involved, that meant that Sasha's like really serious about just not wanting to come back, which it's really a shame it got to that point, to be honest with you, because it's like Sasha Banks is tremendous. She's such an asset to the company, and she's one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, like, quite frankly. And it's really a shame that this place that she was working in, that she just doesn't have the desire to work there anymore, and to me, once the issue in the walkout happened, I said on Twitter that it was incumbent of Vince McMahon to fix the issue. It's not on the talent to just do whatever. It's on him. It's on him to basically make it right, to get these really valuable, great talents to kind of be willing to come back and service your product. Because frankly, ultimately at the end of the day, the issue that they had, it was one where they basically wanted to do more to help the product. They wanted to be more, and they could have been more, for their division and for the tag titles and for everything.
Can I respond to a comment?
Yeah.
Which comment?
Someone said, sometimes a job is just a job. Don't get emotional. Just get paid, go home, and have a life.
No.
This is maybe this person doesn't know a lot about Sasha Banks. Maybe they just aren't aware of her relationship with wrestling. Literally, Sasha's probably one of the most emotionally invested wrestlers, literally. And when every single time that there's an issue between her and WWE and there's some kind of a walkout or she takes some kind of a hiatus, when she comes back, she always comes back with like a newer style, a newer gimmick, better match quality.
Something fresh, yeah.
She's never stagnant ever. But yet somehow the booking is always basically blown up in her face. It kind of seems like she's pulling teeth. And when you're putting in more effort every single time and you're constantly trying to improve, but then the payout is not matching the effort that you've been giving, then, you know, that's when it's like, okay, well, my job is not a job. It's making me unhappy, potentially. It's kind of, it's making me lose the passion that I have. Sasha was like on the forefront of, you know, the quote unquote women's revolution. At this point, I hate that term because
it's so fraudulent.
It really is. But at the time, that's you know, she was one of the women wrestlers that was on the forefront of that. And she took it to heart in and outside of the ring. And it was very important to her.
A lot of them do. A lot of the women take this.
I gotta say, Monty,
so when people say comments like that, it's just like they don't get this is a passion, and like, they get paid. That's probably to a lot of these people. That's just the bonus. You know what I mean? Of course, they want to live a life and make a salary and stuff, but they just want to be out there doing what they do. Like, Sasha genuinely wants to be the greatest of all time. Like, that's her goal, and she don't feel like she can achieve that at WWE anymore. Which, judging off recent booking, can you blame her? Like, I know she had the great. She always, you know, she had the great match with Bianca, and she's had loads of stellar matches over the years. That's why she's in the position she's in now. But
Monty,
how does she go any further from here with WWE?
Wait, can you
I see it? Can I
Okay.
The way I see it, Sasha's she's a troll, and she just does shit sometimes just to do it. So I can see her just like for a year straight going on like a Joshi tour and then leaving and doing Hollywood and then leaving and like going to some other company and just kind of like bouncing around and just having fun.
Free spirit.
Yeah, I mean, she does give that kind of a vibe. I mean, I can't assume that that's what she's gonna do, you know, for sure. But like, I do see her just like wanting to just enjoy herself and not necessarily tie down to one company or just pick between Hollywood and wrestling. I'm seeing a lot of discourse with Sasha AEW, Sasha Stardom, Sasha Hollywood, and the way I see it, I feel like she can do literally all of those things
at the same time.
Yeah.
And at her schedule when she feels like it. You know, where it's like there's a big AEW
hiatuses and come back with a new wig and
exactly like there's a big AEW pay-per-view coming on in 2 months. I'll show up, build this program up, have a couple bangers, do a promo, whatever, do the match, and then all right, let me go fucking do a hip hop music video or something. Like you know what I'm saying? Like because that's just what she does. I agree with everything you guys have been saying. What I wanted to say, Monty, and like actually got like, you know, it's been very clear that the revolution's been like bullshit lately. But it didn't hit me in a way that made me kind of sad until like right now. Cause you know what I thought about? Think about where we were like roughly late 2018 into 19 compared to now. Like where we had the Evolution pay-per-view, you know, Ronda Rousey, whether you like her or dislike her, she was a legitimate star. And, you know, she was having, you know, pay-per-view matches that were over. Becky Lynch got massively over as the man. And so much so that like she was a bigger star than any of the men on the roster. In a way where it was like WWE had no choice but to have the women main event WrestleMania, because not even just out of like just like some people say like it was to check off a box, and many times when WWE does that, it is like main eventing the first women like Hell in a Cell with women, like it was great and it deserved it, but definitely the company just wanted to be able to brag about it. You know what I mean? Like they do that a lot where they just want to brag about how virtuous and how progressive they are, right? But I think we got to a point where legitimately the women talent, the women on a level of stardom, they were like star power wise, they got to a level where it was like they were like the stars of the show, and the revolution was real, and there was all these new talented women coming in from whether it's NXT UK or NXT, the Mae Young Classic. It was really legitimately like a shoot, in my opinion, like the revolution. And again, women main evented WrestleMania. And it's just really crazy how we got from that to like we're genuinely now back in a period where it's like, unless you're like a certain handful of person, and this applies to the men too, but unless you're like a horsewoman or Bianca. You're really just there to fill time, do 2-minute matches, have interchangeable finishes, and be booked inconsistently, whether it's winning or losing, and it just doesn't really matter. And the priority is from the decision makers is just more so on like how good you look rather than how good you are as an overall wrestling talent. And there's nothing wrong with being attractive in wrestling. There's nothing wrong with being an attractive woman in wrestling. But it certainly seems like they don't allow you to be more than that. You know what I mean? For certain talents. And that's unfortunate. And really, I fear for the division going forward in the sense that a lot of people are just not going to realize their true potential. Liv Morgan can be great. You know, Bianca Belair, she's already like so great, right? But it's like she could be fucking, in my opinion, maybe I'm over exaggerating. She could be like a generational fucking megastar. You know what I mean? Like she's one of the best. That's what I'm saying. But she could be like fucking on giant billboards and just thousands of people are just paying to see her and this and that. It could just be so much more, you know. But it feels like so many people, whether you're good, bad, or okay, they're all being almost misused to a degree, and it's unfortunate.
It's like they just don't get it. It's like they've lost that connection. I don't even know how strong it was in the first place because of course they did build the women's division up and they pushed the women more, and we got a lot of marquee events. We got the Evolution event, or you mentioned the main events that they've done and stuff. The women's main event in WrestleMania was a legit thing. It wasn't just tick off a box, like you said. Becky was legitimately not only the biggest star in the company, the biggest star in the industry for that stretch. But yeah, man, like now it's like you said, it just feels like there's no like care put into it and stuff. And
no,
the state of the division, if Sasha and Naomi leave, which I guess we're probably leaning on more the side that they are, it's it's messy, man. I don't know what they're gonna do. I genuinely don't know what they're gonna do.
WWE right now is essentially the creative and the company people putting minimal effort into putting the programming together, and really talented people making the most out of that despite the situation. You know, whether it's Seth Rollins or whoever you want to name, it's just people who are like good, just kind of like figuring out how to work around the fact that like they're doing like just bullshit. You know what I mean? So and that's kind of what's going on. It's rarely these days the company booking a really good angle that makes you look good. It's usually them putting you in a situation that if you're not that good, you're gonna come out of this segment looking really shitty, and them just kind of figuring out like, okay, maybe I'll do this and I'll do that, and I can still get over if I do this, and it's a struggle like that, you know, and it's just really unfortunate, and it's not conducive to growth or getting people over. So that's just kind of my general thoughts on this whole situation, and I fully believe I can tell you this as a scoop. Nobody can confirm about Sasha's like what's going on. I can tell you that her and her lawyers were working towards gaining this release as of about a week ago. So that would certainly lead me to believe that, you know, whatever Raj was told, you know, whatever is going to be officially announced may be prolonged by the company, but it does look like that's what she wants and that's what she's trying to do, you know, is go. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see when that gets announced.
I can't wait to see how WWE is going to attempt to
spin it.
No, not spin it. Try to erase Sasha's legacy, because she literally gave every woman on the roster their best matches and their title wins and everything. Like every woman in WWE, their match highlights, they're like the best matches they've had.
Oh my god, that's so it's like scary and sad to think about. Like that's what they do. Like when you leave, they erase you, and it's easy when you're a random person. But now we're getting to a point where it's like, how are you going to erase Jon Moxley?
Did you see what they done? Did you see what they done earlier with Mike Chioda? Did you see that tweet? They're blurring out Mike Chioda's face in games and shit. That's crazy.
Yeah, you saw it. That's insane. That man was like, bro, what the fuck did I do?
That's crazy, bro. Yeah, that's going to the next level. Like
with him, I think it's a video game likeness money thing, to be honest. But I doubt he'd be fucking pitching a fit if you just put him on the game without, you know, paying him anything. But yeah, like that's the thing. It's like I remember it used to get me so mad when they like pretended CM Punk didn't exist when he first left, right? But now we're at a point where it's like very important people to your recent history of your promotion are not there anymore, and you're pretending they don't exist. And it's like when you tell the story of WWE in the 2010s, Like, are you just gonna skip the yes movement? Are you gonna skip the Shield? Are you gonna skip fucking Sasha? Like, you can't even do a horsewoman documentary now unless you're honest about it. So, like, what the fuck? Are you just gonna be like, yeah, you know, there was Bayley and there was Becky and there was Charlotte and you know, they revolutionized women's wrestling and Bianca main evented WrestleMania against somebody and then she won the title the first time and it was great. Like, what the fuck? Like, bro, no, she was there. And I'm not even looking, I swear to God, I'm like, Israel, I wish I didn't hear that from Israel because that fucking ruined my mood. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to her being erased. Like
no, that's like one of the first things that started to kind of like cross my mind when I thought about a post WWE or like post Sasha WWE. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Even without Sasha Banks, and like how they're gonna go about like presenting her, like presenting the division going forward without her. I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I've got a comment about what happened to the women's tag team championship tournament.
Yeah, what tag team division?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. That's not happening. We have no real women's tag teams, so to speak, at this point.
They literally just completely erased it. They haven't even been promoting it anymore.
I'm gonna tell you guys right now, we have a better chance of those titles becoming defunct and never being brought back than we do of getting a tournament.
Crazy. It's crazy how they'll announce it and just kind of like let it fade away.
Just like because you know they can get away with it.
No, really
because it's not like anybody can just go on the TV and not ask them on TV.
Monty, the biggest example of this that like no one ever talks about. Right before WWE was going back to touring and they're still in the Thunderdome, there was a series of promos like WWE back on the road, right? Where you'd be like, "Hey, I'm Braun Strowman, and we're gonna hit your city, and if you want to catch the monster among men, buy a ticket." And fucking like, you know, Peyton Royce is like, "Buy a ticket, you know, catch the Iconics." Whatever the fuck, a bunch of talents that like didn't even make it to touring because they got fired. We're like telling you to buy tickets to see me, and nasty. Like no one, you know, like this is nasty. It's nasty.
Speaking of well, not nasty, but
yeah, I was gonna say
bad news. Bad news, I guess.
Sure.
There is fears that Randy Orton is going to be out for the rest of 2022. The report comes from Fightful Select, and they have learned that Orton has been dealing with a back injury for quite some time. It's progressively got worse. He had some work done before the tag team title unification, but there's been no word of how extensive that work was or what the exact injury is, just that it's a back injury. But he may need surgery, and if he does get surgery, he will most likely be out for the rest of the year. But, you know, it's not confirmed if he needs surgery yet, so we'll see what happens. But not great news because he's one of their top babyfaces at the moment. So.
Besides Bianca, he's the top babyface. The reaction he's been getting lately is insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's on an interesting run right now. Like he's Randy Orton's the type of guy where Randy Orton's the type of guy, in my opinion, where like his quality of work depends on how much he cares about what he's doing. And there's often times where you could tell Randy's just like just there to just be there to get paid and do his job. And there's times where he's into it. And with RK Bro, like he's definitely into it. And you know, I
hate that you mentioned that because I don't want to give Matt Riddle credit for like giving Randy some of his spark back. But
his spark back. I think it's one of those things where think about this: if you're Randy Orton, right? Instead of having to do a whole match, all you really gotta do is just tag in and do your dope Randy Orton shit, and they're losing their minds while you do it. You just tag in, clothesline, power slam, draping DDT, where you fucking pull the guy out and you're like, and you drop him on his head, right? And then you start stomping, you know, doing the fucking RKO teases. They go to the outside, you fucking just backdrop suplex him on the table, throw his ass back in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Throw some RKOs, and that's it. And they're losing their mind for you, right? Because the thing about Randy Orton is, there's so many people who say like, oh, his finisher's dope, but he's such a boring wrestler. Oh, he's this and that, right? Now, whether he is or isn't, whether that's the case or not, all he has to do now is his cool shit, right? Matt Riddle's the one fucking getting beat up and getting his ass whooped and fucking selling and shit. And then it's like, all right, Randy, now you do all the fucking dope shit in this match, right? And he comes in, he does all his dope shit, and they lose their minds. If you're Randy, he's probably like, yo, damn, but this shit is fire. Yo, like all I gotta fucking do is my fucking scoop slam and, you know, RKO and the DDT. Man, this is amazing. You know, so he probably feels young again. He probably feels invigorated. He probably feels so charged up. Like, bro, if all I have to do is do 5 minutes of wrestling and they're losing their shit for me every night, That is a dope fucking job.
He's mastered it. I've said it in our group chat. It's like he's mastered being like 40 years old in WWE.
Yes. Yeah.
Now this has came up, so it's a bit of a bummer.
It's unfortunate that he's hurt because, like Israel said, he's one of the top baby faces in the promotion. He's so over right now. And he was penciled in to face Roman Reigns at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And and if he can't make it, like, what do you even do? Right? Like, what the fuck do you even do?
I mean, Roman has 2 belts and 2 shows that he could show up to.
I know who you want the opponent to be, Israel. You're probably thinking Seth Rollins, I'm assuming.
Well, now that you mention it, that would be dope. They never finished their storyline from Royal Rumble. They literally wrapped it during Mania season and then had Roman face Lesnar for both belts, which made no sense. And then had Seth waiting on Cody Rhodes to show up, and he never did until Mania. So, yeah, I would like to forget all that ever happened and just towards, pretending that that whole era just never existed and we just went from Royal Rumble, which was an incredible match, an incredible performance by Seth Rollins and also Roman Reigns. And let's bring that to now and have them go at it again because the storyline was great. Seth Rollins is great at acting. He's a great promo. He's a great storylines are his thing. I think that's where he excels at. So I think they need to just go back to feuding, and Seth needs to beat him clean because Seth has not won clean in a very long time for like a title match or a main event opportunity. And I think Seth Rollins fans would appreciate it. And
I'll say what, Monty. Like the fact that like both shows don't have a championship. Like normally I'd be kind of resistant to certain like pitches people make to get the belt off Roman. But at this point, like I don't even like with all the injuries and Roman's uncertain schedule, I'm very fuck it about like whatever people pitch in the sense it's like, bro, just get it off him. You know what I mean? Like just whatever it is, bro. Fucking Riddle beats him this Friday or someone takes it off him SummerSlam or Drew wins it. What just fucking do something to get a belt on one of these shows. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. They could make Riddle in one night tomorrow. Like that would be insane. Genuinely would make him.
What do you say, Ezra?
I'm sorry. I was thinking like, why don't they have like this one angle where Roman defends both titles on one show? Because that would make more sense because they don't want to make him look weak or whatever and have him lose clean. But say if he has to defend both titles on one show, maybe that would make more sense for at least one of the belts to move to someone else.
Phil Lindsay's here of the Grapsody podcast.
What do you say?
What do you think he said?
Phil,
as soon as possible. Let's talk about it.
A lot of Rollins fans in this space right now. That's interesting. Yeah. Look, man. At this point, like my personal opinion, Monty, was always Cody wins Money in the Bank and beats Roman Reigns in a super heated ultra babyface versus heel match at SummerSlam. That's obviously not going to happen right now because Cody's torn his pectoral muscle. And with Randy gone, it looks like your next best shot of Roman dropping these belts is Roman dropping it to Drew McIntyre at the UK show. Now, I don't dislike Drew McIntyre. I think he's a really good worker and he's likable. He feels very cold to me right now, relatively speaking. And like, just the idea of him in general doesn't excite me, which is unfortunate because he's really good. But yeah, we have a comment. Phil heard Rollins' name and appeared. Yeah. You know, a lot of Rollins lovers. You know, Israel brings them out of the woodwork. Look, man,
don't play with his name too much.
Sure. I think we're gonna work on correcting that over the course of these next few weeks with these podcasts. But yeah, man, all I gotta say about this, Monty, is, you know, if Randy's out, that's a genuine shame because I thought he was one of the highlights of Monday Night Raw this year. And it's like day by day, the things that make that show watchable are just kind of going away. You know, we don't have Sasha anymore. Cody Rhodes is hurt.
It's brutal.
It's fucking brutal. It's brutal. And it's
all my favorite
brutal.
people are getting injured or what.
Yeah. And what makes it worse is like we're in like a complete low point when it comes to WWE's star making process on the main roster. And so in another era, they just successfully elevate certain people to make it work, but they're not equipped to do that right now. You know, so I don't know what
energy towards pushing Austin Theory. Like they genuinely think that he's going to be the future, and I don't understand.
I don't like literally. And Dave Meltzer says it every week. He goes, Vince likes him because he has the good body, and it's like, okay, bro. Like most of the rosters, like has they're well built. Like, I don't know, man. I don't really see it in him when it comes to being magnetic or interesting or charismatic or anything like that. Like he's
a talent. I feel like objectively,
he's just fine. He's just okay.
He's decent, but he's wildly overexposed, man.
Like, for his level, right? Yeah.
It's if he was treated like other fucking talents of his level and of his stature on the roster and stuff, maybe wouldn't be as much clap back on him. But like, it's crazy how he's been kind of just. I want to point out our throats, and he gets a lot of negative reaction, like critically and obviously live. And some people, I hate when people are like, "Oh, that's how you're supposed to react as a heel." But nah, bro, this shit's just bad.
Can we just get somebody who's interesting and good and has good matches and cuts good promos? Someone I want to say said that Braun Breaker is needed urgently, and I've obviously my agenda, Monty. Yes. I'm a big Braun Breaker person. I wanted him to get called up after Mania season. If they did call him up after Mania season, instead of wasting his time with Joe Gacy, they could have microwaved him O2 Brock style and fed Roman to him. But that's not going to happen.
Can we Joe Gacy challenges?
Sure.
Which one?
Peach said, I wonder how the Vince news is going to affect Theory's character. Like his whole thing is being BFFs with Vinny.
Holy shit.
Bro, like I said earlier, like they're
gonna know something, right?
Yeah, they're gonna know the Vince's gonna be in segments on Friday or some shit, or on Monday because he's on Raw. Any Theory?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if we see a segment with Theory and Vince on Monday, like I wouldn't even be that surprised, genuinely.
Knowing Vince McMahon, Monty, he's the type of dude that because he hasn't been on TV since WrestleMania. He's the type of fucking guy. With these allegations out, he's gonna strut his ass on TV Monday and like he's hot shit. You know what I'm saying? Hyping it up.
Welcome to Monday Night Raw.
Welcome to Monday Night Raw. Like, I'm Vince.
He really is that guy, man.
He's that type of dude.
I should have laughed.
That would be hilarious. Actually, now that you mention it, I could see him doing that just to be petty.
That's what that's him. On us. Yes, yeah, exactly.
No, because he knows every time he does some fuck shit. Like we watch anyways.
Yeah, so that's the thing. His thing is like, I don't care. I'm McMahon. You can't stop me. You still watch the show. Suck my dick. I'm on the TV right now. Like that's his thing, And so he loves asserting his power and dominance. That's why he has awesome. That's why Mustafa Ali's on TV losing every week. It's an assertion of power from Vince.
It's gonna be an interesting few weeks, but moving on anyway.
Yeah. Before we get to Dynamite, because we have before we get to that, because we have a whole show to fucking go through. It's crazy, but before we get to that, I'm probably gonna die a little bit inside if Austin Theory just like beats John Cena. I just want to point that out.
We'll just forget. We'll just like pretend it's not happening. Then when it happens, we'll just pretend it didn't happen, and it will.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care. John Cena will be fine. He's John Cena.
Yeah, I know, but
you might not like him, but he's still gonna be John Cena.
Yeah, but it's not like he's gonna get buried or anything.
Yeah, he's not gonna get damaged by it. I don't need that in my life. I don't need because I remember when beating John Cena meant something, which is why like I was so hyped when AJ Styles beat him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when other guys, like it meant something. It was like, wow, you beat John Cena because I came up in an era where John Cena beat everybody. You know what I mean? So when you beat John Cena, it was like, holy shit. But and you don't want to make it where it's like beating John Cena is like, having sex with the crackhead in the corner and like anybody can do it. It's like you don't like Austin.
That's a wild analogy. What's wrong with you?
Sure. But the point stands. It's like if Theory can beat him, that means that John just loses to everybody now, and I don't like that.
So yeah, it's you have to bring it down on the podcast, but
what's up?
But you bringing it down on the podcast.
Austin Theory and John Cena.
These theory scenarios, man. But yeah,
it's like the Fuse, Monty. Yeah, let's go.
Let's get
Is his favorite TV show?
Hair versus hair, Jericho versus Ortiz. I thought it had really good heat, to be honest. It started off fast. It was a good start, heated start. And it had some really good like pro wrestling shit If that makes sense. Like,
yes.
Even the Sammy shit was like good. I thought the way that they dressed him up as Fuego and he revealed himself as Sammy, like it was so like pro wrestling. So definitely a Jericho ordeal.
Here's what I'll tell you, Monty.
Go on.
I haven't really seen this take, so I guess this is a unique to Hangman take. This was, I'm not gonna say if it's the best or not, but this was my favorite match on the show.
It was very. He had a lot of heat like that. I wanted to single out the near fall from the Eddie Kingston spinning back.
That shit
was incredible, bro.
Yeah. Listen. I'm gonna put it to you like this. It was like the good parts of an overbooked 1999 Crash TV Attitude Era main event, like kind of distilled into a short main opener. You had a hot crowd, so much chaotic stuff going on around the ringside. Public Enemy said it, you mean sports entertainment. This is sports entertainment 100%. You had the guys on the outside in the faction, you had brawling on the outside, you had interferences, you had interferences leading to big near falls that create dramatic moments in a match. You had a swerve in the ending. Ortiz was over as fuck in the building, and it really Ortiz was super over in the building. He was very passionate in his performance. Jericho was just being Jericho, and ultimately for me, it just ended up. And Jim Ross was also really into this match too. Like he was fired up, and he was so on fire today, like more so than he's been recently.
Back to 99.
It kind of gave me goosebumps. Like when Kingston comes in, it's like the Hurricane, 1, 2, no, my God, no. Oh, I thought it was over. It was like I started getting chills. Like, and yeah, I know some people don't like the chicanery and the overbooking and stuff, and that type of shit can always be messy if done improperly. But because of the context and how all these devices were used in this match, they were used in ways that enhanced the drama, enhanced the tension of what was happening, and it made the match better. It didn't take away from the match, right? And it made sense within the storyline and the characters. So for me, like I don't really have anything negative to say about any of this, including the Sammy Guevara swerve with Fuego. I'll let you go. So for me, this is what you call a good piece of business. This is my favorite thing on the show from a wrestling standpoint.
Go off, Israel.
So we always talk about how do we collectively get bad bitches to watch AEW. I consider myself leader of the Bad Bitch Brigade for AEW, and I would like to do my part in making sure that more bad bitches watch AEW. The first step: get rid of Sammy Guevara. No one wants no woman in her right mind wants to turn on AEW and watch Sammy Guevara do anything. Nothing on his own, nothing with his fiance, nothing in ring, no problem, nothing.
You don't enjoy seeing him and Ty Conti make out demonstratively on television?
Wild, bro. That's some Pritchard shit, that is.
No one wants to see that. In my opinion, JAS was a solid unit. They were actually my favorite faction up until now. Now I don't know. I have to shop around, see what else is out there
because Sammy's now joined. For me. He's okay.
I feel like this kind of like I don't know how to say this. It kind of fucks over Daniel Garcia, I think, because he's kind of.
I have a theory, but I'll let you finish.
Huh?
I have a theory, but I'll let you finish.
Like in my opinion, like the way I see it, like Daniel Garcia is like the young kind of like breakout talent, like he's next up in the group, and then Sammy Guevara kind of has like a similar thing. He's accomplished a lot more, but I feel like he's gonna take shine from Daniel Garcia. And if we want bad bitches to watch AEW, we need more Daniel Garcia and less Sammy Guevara, and that's what I have to say. Go off.
Yeah, so here's my thing. Monty, what's funny? So Sammy's been in shambles creatively pretty much all year, right? They wanted to make him a singles babyface. Didn't really work. They did the Ty Conti thing and foolishly thought that I was going to get over as a babyface act, like this couple. That didn't work. Then they made them heels. We just still didn't care. We just didn't like him. And now they threw him in this. I actually thought, Monty, like I'm mad I didn't tweet this because I wanted to take the victory lap. A couple weeks ago, I said I did think like what would save Sammy is to just insert him with Chris Jericho, because
I thought that too, to be honest.
the best Sammy Guevara. I remember when I first saw him, right, at the beginning of AEW. I thought he looked really annoying, just visually. I'm not like this with people, but like with him specifically, something about just how this guy looked really annoyed me. And I don't know if it was his haircut or just his facial expressions, but he just had a really just big dickhead vibes. And I remember when they wanted to present him as a babyface, it made no sense to me, right? Like this guy looks like a fucking shithead, right? And so when they put him with Jericho and just let him be the young shithead of the Inner Circle, it made sense. And so now I can justify pouring in my annoyance of this person into just the act that he's trying to portray, right? And so that was the best Sammy Guevara to me, just this annoying fucking dickhead, high-flying prick in the Inner Circle. Anytime they try to put him in any other role, it just doesn't work for me personally, right? And so I thought the best rehab for Sammy is to insert him in the JAS, and I think that leads to a natural eventual segue for Garcia to leave. Now, Garcia, he's doing really well in the Jericho Appreciation Society. He's coming into his own as a performer. He's becoming more well-rounded. He's speaking more and he's getting comfortable speaking. And look, he's already a great wrestler, and he's been a great wrestler. But like now he's becoming a well-rounded performer. And so I think he'd agree that like this has been good for him, right? But ultimately, when it comes to the storyline of this whole thing, when Bryan Danielson, God, I had a Jim Ross moment. When Bryan Danielson presented the idea of the Blackpool Combat Club to Jon Moxley in a promo, he said, we need to mentor the next generation of young wrestlers. And the guys that he highlighted were Lee Moriarty, Wheeler Yuta, and Daniel Garcia. And so I think there's so much to work out here story-wise when it comes to Danielson's potential continued pursuit of Garcia. You know, that's an angle that the story hasn't hit, you know, primarily because Danielson's out with an injury. But I think that's something you could touch on now. It's like, yo, like, remember, I did watch you. And, you know, I don't know if Jericho does because he's bringing in this asshole. You know what I mean? You could build tension there. You could build to an eventual split. They could have an internal rivalry between the young guys. There's a lot you can do there, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
There's a lot of options. And so what I would say to you, Isra, is when you say, like, you know, this could be the shafting of Garcia, is sure, but I have this feeling that eventually that's what this is leading to Garcia switching sides, so to speak, and joining Bryan Danielson.
Okay. I want to see that because I initially wanted him to team up with Danielson. I feel like
Monty, is she lagging for you?
Yeah, lagging a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to your connection, Israel, but all of a sudden your camera got a little blurry and your sound got a little choppy.
Should I leave and come back?
Yeah, try and even come back.
Yeah, try doing that.
We'll be fine.
Yeah. But yeah, like to me, that's what I feel like might happen. Now, in the interim,
You're still doing it?
Yeah. It didn't look like you really left.
Try and leave from the link and just click back on the link again. Like leave and just come back in, and I'll add you to the stream again.
Yeah, while she's doing that, like, to me, Monty, I think in the interim, Sammy's there to make the numbers work for Blood and Guts. You know, I think Tony intends that because here's the thing with Wheeler Yuta back, it was like, who's Jericho gonna add to his side, right? And so Sammy makes it a 6-on-6. And I think that's why this was done right now, right? Again, long term, I think that's the long term end goal. It is to get Garcia out of there. Now, I wouldn't do it immediately, and I think maybe like his development isn't complete. I think it's still in progress. You know what I mean? And so because it's still in progress, I think we you know. It's too early to jump the gun on that, but I think that's the ultimate direction there. Israel, try talking.
Hello. Testing.
Oh.
No. What happened? It was running so smoothly, and you could see your face in HD, and it's funny. I see Israel every like 6 frames. Like she'll pop up like
every
yeah.
Keeps freezing like that.
I think it's getting better.
I think if we just wait it out, we might be able to.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's gonna happen.
No, it's fine.
We're gonna make out enough of what you're saying anyway. So
Yeah, we'll work through it. Anything is better than what happened with Chris like 2 weeks ago. Remember Chris in this space? He
bro.
Yeah, his thing was falling apart.
All of you, bro. Like you're sitting there with no camera on, so.
Yeah,
let me go to a different spot.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Wardlow versus 20 is what I've got down. There was I feel People's Court video package, which I thought was great, to be honest. But
yeah,
the actual thing itself, I think the premise of Wardlow just beating the shit out of 20 guys is always going to be like pretty good, and it's going to have a pretty high floor because it's Wardlow beating the shit out of 20 guys. But I feel like the way that it was actually executed was pretty poorly, to be honest. But like I said, with it being the premise of what it is, like Wardlow just powerbombing the shit out of people and stacking them up, even though the pins weren't legit, but who gives a shit because it's just fucking plaintiffs, I guess. But like I said, there was just a lot of holes in the way that the match was produced. Like even at the very start, like when he knocks the 5 guys off the apron and it eliminated them, and it just like
that was
it was really just clunky and weird. And like I said, it was like I said, I don't think it was very thoughtfully produced.
Yes, not at all.
I think would probably be my way of describing it. But overall, it's Wardlow fucking powerbombing, beating shit out of guys. So it was fine. I
guess the best way that I would describe this to you, Monty, I thought that this was like absolute fucking shit, and at the same time, like so glorious. Like I thought this was objectively abysmally done, and I had an amazing time watching it. Like I was laughing and like clapping at my TV, and I gave this match 4 stars on Twitter. I think it's like elite wrestle crap, because like the rules didn't make any type of sense, and once that was established that it didn't make sense, you could hear the crowd get quiet, because it was like he knocks people off the apron and it was like 5 people have been eliminated. And fans like, wait, what the fuck? And then like then it kind of just got quiet, and then he's like, then he did a submission and a pin on someone. Like remember, he had one guy in like a guillotine and another person pinned, and the bell rang immediately when he just kind of stepped on the one person. And I think like to me, I was like, wait, did they just count a pin just without even counting the 3? And then I realized like, oh no, it's the submission. But it was just so confusing, right? Like from that aspect. And then you have the whole like, does it count as eliminating like 6 people if you just pile them on each other? I thought it's supposed to be shoulders to the mat. That made no sense. And at some point he got blown up, and his power bombs got really shitty. And it popped me so much.
He took a really deep breath, like just before it.
When the shittier the power bombs got, oh my goodness. The shittier.
How we doing?
It's the same.
I can hear you better.
The sound's a bit better, definitely.
The sound is better.
This is better.
Israel, let's just power through it, and then hopefully, like, your laptop just wakes up, because we can hear you now at least. Okay. You know, your image isn't up to date, but yeah. I was gonna say, Monty. So, what the hell? Yeah, the shittier his power bombs got, the more it popped me. Like it was so funny. Like just seeing him, like clearly, like I feel like he got bored of the idea of this match midway. You know, and he was just like, all right, let me just fucking get through this shit.
The crowd dying definitely affected how, you know, because Wardlow definitely feeds off the crowd. He gets fired up.
Yeah.
Of course, with how over he is, it's no surprise either, to be honest. So,
ultimately, though, like this whole thing was funny. I love the idea of this match. I wanted it to be good, and so I'm gonna call it good regardless if it's good or not. And I gave it 4 stars again because it's Wardlow powerbombing 20 lawyers. It's just really funny as a concept. And so yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. Isra, did you catch Wardlow versus 20 men?
I did. I turned the camera off because I'm not trying to fucking look crazy when it glitches. But I did catch Wardlow versus everybody.
What did you make of it?
I feel like he kind of reminds me of like Batista, Brock Lesnar-esque. He's definitely for the bitches. I would say.
There you go, Tony Khan. If you're listening, your man Wardlow is for the bitches, as co-signed by Israel.
This is the real stuff that Tony Khan needs to know.
Yeah, no, to
So
be honest with you, like I know he really values like reading people on Cage Match, right? Or reading people on social media. Honestly, I think him and everybody in general should be seeking out alternative spaces of wrestling fans and just alternative types of fans to see what gets them into watching a show. Like quite frankly, in general, you know what I mean? And I think that's important, you know, because obviously you
definitely.
go on Twitter and people are gonna say like, yeah, Ospreay's sensational. I want to watch more of
Hmm.
Ospreay, or I want
Oh
to see
yes.
more of these people, you know. But
Yeah, and speaking of Ospreay, next
mhm,
up we've got Ospreay versus Dax.
yeah,
Um, yeah, man, I thought it was a like, of course, but
hmm
Ospreay legitimately think he's one of the best in the world. Dax, likewise, very
hmm
different styles though. I thought they meshed pretty well, especially towards the end. It was all very, very, very well wrestled. And yeah, especially towards the end, it got quite exciting to be honest, even though the result was pretty inevitable. Um, the Dax powerbomb spot off the ropes was amazing. um, yeah, man, I thought it was just a very, very well wrestled, good, solid match. A good showcase match for Will Ospreay, much better than last week's. Um,
mm.
yeah, man, I was a big fan of this.
I think Will Ospreay is a sensational athlete. I think he is genuinely just a pretty terrific wrestler. Many people believe he's, if not the best wrestler in the world, one of the best wrestlers in the world, and I wouldn't debate you on that. Based on his skill set, I think his character and his promo ability is actually slightly underrated, and people give it credit for. Like people just kind of say it's fake Conor McGregor, it's this or that. I think he's like a very solid, competent heel, and I actually like his promos. Um, I was really up for this match. I liked the trios tag more than most people, I think, and was fine with it. And I was really up for this matchup when it was announced. And I say all this to get it out the way because, to be honest, um, when it happened and once I actually started watching it, I don't know what it was. When Dax chained those suplexes, I was out of my seat. He's killing it. Yeah, Dax is having a phenomenal year. Dax Harwood is genuinely like one of the best wrestlers this year when it comes to
Hmm.
this catalog he's building for himself.
Hmm.
What I was getting at is I once this match started happening, like it was weird. I started like struggling with my care. Like I don't know what it was exactly, but I was having a hard time getting into it. And I'm not normally a guy of like, oh, I need a storyline for the match to like matter to me. Like I know, like, I'm down for just a good match to just be a good match. You know what I mean? I'm not that type of guy. But for whatever reason, this just wasn't clicking for me, like for a lot of it. And I think part of it is I think he has this like rugged, no nonsense smash mouth style, right? And I think if Osprey over exaggerated and decided to wrestle like a parody of what his perception is, it would have worked better from a dynamic standpoint. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, if he was, oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
literally,
so like
if he was more dynamic and just more
yeah, because like people
flippy,
already
and like you said, if he leaned into his yeah,
perception. Like people already
hmm,
people who don't really pay attention to him just kind of look at like they just think of the fucking the Ricochet sequence, right? Like that's what they think when they think Will Ospreay. People who don't like know, right? And
hmm,
I almost feel like because when the Young Bucks do this, it works so well with FTR when they're just absolute like almost cartoony dipshits. I almost feel like if Ospreay did that and was obnoxious and did a little bit more of that, like I kind of would have gotten into the clash of dynamics. But he very much played it completely straight and just wrestled. And I'd imagine he did that because like Dax probably told him like let's just wrestle, let's not try to get too cute. Um, but I think it makes for a slightly less interesting match than what could have happened had Osprey been more of just himself. If that makes any sense.
hmm.
With that said,
Absolutely.
obviously this was objectively just tremendously wrestled, right? And the crowd got so into it, and they were really up for this match. Like they were losing their minds on the near falls and the big moves. And by the end, like it was easy to recognize that yes, this was a great match. But I just wanted to kind of explain in detail why. I guess try to articulate why maybe this didn't really connect with me because
Yeah,
I don't
bro, it
I couldn't
happens.
fully
It
I couldn't fully
happens.
explain it. I
You
just
watch that much wrestling, it's bound to
yeah
happen.
yeah it's weird. Like I just couldn't. It wasn't really hitting me the way I thought it would.
But
So
yeah, Israel, do you have anything to add? If we can actually hear you this time,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it feels like she's not there because I can't see her, right? Like,
okay,
it feels
wait,
like
I'm not on the camera because if my mic is working, maybe my camera will work.
we can see you.
It's not working?
We can see you. It's just kind of laggy, but we can see you. I don't know what happened because her thing was going so fine and smooth, and just
okay. So the match was cute. I agree with you on what you said about Billy Ospreay kind of holding back. I felt like he could have. I don't know. He could have did more. Those chops annoyed the hell out of me because his selling irritates me. Dax Harwood is an amazing talent, and I love him. So, can I do the star rating that y'all do? I literally never do star ratings because that's not how I consume wrestling. But if I was to rate it, I'd probably give it like 3.5. Yes.
Well, after the match, they done the angle where they set up Orange Cassidy versus Will Ospreay, a match that I genuinely can't believe they're actually doing. To be honest,
it's certainly not.
I like Orange Cassidy, so I'm not gonna like go off on a long tangent about why I think Ospreay should be getting more out of this pay per view, but. It is what it is. Orange Cassidy is very good in the ring as well. Ospreay is absolutely phenomenal. I'm sure it'll be a good match, but I think it's fair to say I was expecting quite a bit more out of Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door. But like I said, it'll be a good match. I'll pop through it. Whatever,
It's funny, Monty, because like when you think Will Ospreay finally making it to AEW, and you think of like what matches you could see.
Yeah, bro. Nobody fantasy.
You're not thinking Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay at all, right? And him kind of coming in and facing him, it feels like when like big stars from other promotions go to WWE and maybe they're not positioned on the card the way like their actual clout is like on that level. And so it is a pretty interesting situation how like he's kind of come over and like been inserted into a mid card situation, so to speak. It's pretty like interesting just as a choice. Very conservative and almost to a point where it feels like it's on purpose for whatever reason, right? I think it's just a very interesting choice. Obviously, like you said, like I think that's gonna be a really good match. Orange Cassidy and Will Ospreay. Like Orange Cassidy
will be a good match.
He's genuinely like a really good wrestler. But it's just it's definitely a choice. So
yes,
yeah.
But yeah, next up we had the Moxley and Tana face to face. I thought the Moxley promo was incredible, to be honest. Moxley's just fucking cut from a different cloth, genuinely one of the best wrestlers in the world. Something that he said himself, he called himself the best in the world, which is a comment that he is just repeating, that he said many times throughout the year, to be honest. He said it most recently this weekend after he beat Speedball. He got on the mic after at the indie event and, called himself the best in the world. Done it again on Wednesday. Like I said, I thought the promo was amazing. But then Jericho comes out. Jericho does his shtick. I feel like the segment really fell together when it just really didn't need to. Like, it was really great, then it really wasn't very quickly. It was just to do the angle to get to the match, but I don't think you needed to weave the two things together. Obviously Monty. We got the introductions of El Desperado and Lance Archer with JAS, and we got the match announced for Forbidden Door, which is going to be a multi-man tag. Like I said, I just don't think they should have weaved the two angles together the way they did. Like I said, it was very good, and then it very definitely wasn't very quickly, but not how I would have done it. But
so here's the deal, Monty. I fucking hated this segment. Like there's segments that I think are just not very good in AEW occasionally. This one like was bad in a way that annoyed me, kind of. We were off to a wonderful start, like you said. John Mox is cutting his promo on Tanahashi. I'm getting amped up for the match. Tanahashi kept wanting to grab the mic from Mox to say something. I'm really excited about it. I'm like I actually want to hear Tanahashi just say something to him in English. Doesn't matter if it's 2 words. I was just really excited to hear him talk.
That's all we got, bro. So.
Yeah, he felt like just a god in the ring there, and I was like, oh man, the ace is gonna fucking
serious
speak.
Presence.
Like yes, massive presence, right? He's just staring at Mox with his coy look on his face as Mox is talking to him, and so I'm just really excited at this point, right? and genuinely deflating when Jericho's theme song hit while Tanahashi like grabbed the microphone. That was really upsetting. Like it was like really, really upsetting. It was like fuck, man. Right? I wasn't a fan of that. It derailed the segment. And obviously, like yes, Mox is involved in the JAS feud, so like it does make some logical sense for Jericho to get involved. But I think what really made the segment bad, in my opinion, is this. I don't think that there's a problem with trying to intertwine some of this stuff, like the stable feud as well as Mox's Forbidden Door match, because they are happening concurrently, and there is a bit of a through line you can draw with some of the stuff. But you know what this felt like was happening, Monty? It felt like Tony Khan put together a few matches over the next coming weeks, right? He didn't know how to get to those matchups from a story standpoint or from a segment standpoint, right? And it felt like he gave Jericho a list of matches and said, I'm going to throw all these fucking guys on TV. Please make sense of this and get this over and explain that these matches are happening. 10 minutes, help. Like, Monty, you always say that like sometimes like Tony Khan is more of a matchmaker than a storyteller.
Yeah.
This is the biggest example of that. Like, this was literally just, he made some matches. He was like, all right, fucking, what was it? He's like Jericho and Suzuki and what is it? Jericho, Suzuki and Sammy? Is that what it is? I think.
I don't know, bro.
That's what I'm saying. He
so
was like
dizzy when they do it like this.
He said he just mixed some Suzuki Gun members with Jericho members and said, "You guys versus Moxley, Yuta, and Shota." Okay, that's that. That's the Forbidden Door matchup. And then he went, okay, what do I do next? All right, this is the Blood and Guts matchup. Okay, clear. That's the matchup. And then he went, and then this is this matchup. And then he probably put together. He's like, all right, I'm gonna do this one on Dynamite next week, so then I'll shoot the angle for that. And then he said, fuck it, we're gonna jump all this shit together in one fucking segment. We get all the guys in these matches on the same angle. Chris Jericho. Here's the list of matchups. Make it make sense. And so you had this awkward, elongated, prolonged beatdown going on in the background as Jericho just stands there and he's essentially playing Excalibur. Like he's just kind of like, all right, so this is this guy, that's that guy. They're gonna be with me for this match on this show. That guy that's beating that guy up is gonna be with me for this match. And then this guy, I beat him in the Tokyo Dome. So that's why I'm mad at him, guys. I'm mad at him because I beat him in the Tokyo Dome. And then this guy, like literally, like he's like, it was like fucking Dora. Like he's just pointing at people and just giving out like bad exposition as like a bad like angle is taking place. Like literally, I genuinely just structurally, I thought like I don't know, I didn't see anyone shitting on this because I'm a day late. I thought this segment was trash. Like I don't call things on Dynamite trash. This was trash in terms of its execution. I saw someone defending it, saying like it makes sense for Chris Jericho to be tied to this because of his beef with Moxley and his connection with Tanahashi. Totally agree. I like that wrestling is a shared universe in AEW. They shouldn't be independent of each other. It would not have made sense if Jericho just avoided this whole aspect, even though he's feuding with Moxley, right? No problem with that. But again, the problem was the execution of getting to these matches and shooting this angle. It was way too much just kind of like
it was dizzying. It was
I thought
like
this
you
was,
said, like, I don't honestly,
bad.
like, unless we got it up, I don't know if we could actually like name the match like confidently.
I think I got it. I think it's Shota Umino, John Moxley, and Yuta versus Suzuki, Jericho, and fucking...
He's Moxley, isn't he? What?
No, John isn't even in the match. What am I saying? What the fuck is this matchup?
But this is what I'm saying, bro. Like, we don't even know what's going on. It's so dizzy in the way they do these angles.
So this is the last time I'm gonna try, and if the camera doesn't work, then I'll just give up. Okay. But
Isra, if your camera doesn't work, can you change your profile picture to a picture of you so we can at least?
This is working.
Is it working?
Yes.
Oh my God! We're back. Yes.
Well, I need to disappear off camera, but I'll still be on. I'm gonna disappear off camera for like 2 seconds. But
Why?
I'll be back. But I'm still here and listening. So, Israel, what did you think of the Moxley Tana Jericho?
Wait, Israel, did you hear all the stuff I was saying about it?
Yes, my camera was off. I'm not like deaf.
it feels like you're just not with us when you're not on camera.
I'm with you. I was trying to sort it out, but I was listening.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for it. I thought Mox's promo was great. All of his promos are great. So as soon as Jericho came out, they just like started stinking up the place. I hated it. Like, I understand, like when you said you hated it, I felt that in my soul because that shit was not it, in my opinion. And in my opinion, whenever JAS has any kind of brawl, it goes on for like
too long.
I can't. Like, it was pretty bad. I'm glad that we're on the same page there because I felt like I was gonna be a hater.
No, I thought the segment was trash.
Yeah, I didn't care for it all. Also, okay, so I'm fairly new to AEW. I mean, I've been watching for months, but mostly on and off. So certain things are very, how do I say this, overstimulating with AEW. Especially whenever they have like these beatdowns or like these factions going crazy, it's kind of hard to be able to see what's going on. And I understand like most AEW fans are not casuals, like I am for now.
They know what's going on.
Yeah, they know what's going on. They know everybody. But like, imagine somebody's first time watching AEW. It's very chaotic for me. And even if I'm not new, even if I'm watching this on a regular basis, it doesn't really make sense for every single episode to have this many, I don't know, chaotic moments. It kind of just feels like they're overcompensating, and there's just too much going on at one time. I don't know. I don't really care. I feel like these should be saved for big moments. But with JAS specifically, do it every week.
They you said it's overstimulating, it's dizzying, it's too much, man. it's a lot.
I gotta say, like, the weird thing about it is even at this segment, Jericho was trying to actively explain to everybody like who was who and where they belong to, and it still just felt like a mess. Like, he's like, "This is Desperado, this is Lance Archer, Suzuki, let me borrow them."
That moment when he was trying to put over what's his face, Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti.
Oh yeah, that happened in the segment too.
It's so awkward. Like, I don't know. This is. That's just not what pops me. So
it was I think it's fair to say it was a bit of a miss on the.
Didn't like it. I thought it derailed Mox and Tanahashi, and I was really excited to just see them face off.
Can we talk about Tanahashi's fit for a second?
It was awesome.
God bless. God bless.
Hey man, I respect your opinions even when they're wrong.
Is Hiroshi Tanahashi for the bitches?
Absolutely, he is a bad bitch.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 100%. next we had this Tony Storm promo. And she was cutting this promo about the Britt Baker match that was happening later in the night. And while she's cutting this promo, they were doing these Britt Baker like montage clips, and I don't know why they were actually doing. Well, obviously it was who she faced. Like, they don't do this. Really weird. Like,
there's like interloping clips of just her in slow motion.
It felt like a let's get some nice Britt Baker stuff on. Like,
not to roast, but so here's the thing: Britt Baker's offense is sometimes like really shitty. And the last thing you want to do in wrestling is make shitty offense, like expose that it's shitty. And the way to expose it being shitty is by slowing the footage down, right? Because like if your striking is bad, you want it to happen in real time and not look at it again, right? But they're going slow motion zoom in angles of her doing really slow super kicks and like slow rolling elbow strikes. And like all I could think of in the brief segment was they're really like trying to let you know that Britt Baker's not a very good wrestler. But it's a very minor nitpick. But yeah, she cut a promo leading to her rematch with Britt Baker.
And yeah, it was a pretty basic promo, just opening up. Then we got Miro versus Ethan in the All Atlantic tournament, with Miro winning. And it was fine. It's pretty decent. It was
I thought that this was a thing on the show. This is the best way to describe it. Like, it wasn't like good or bad. It was just a thing on the show. The right man won. Obviously, it's Miro. I love Miro. I think he's awesome. He's one of my favorite characters on AEW. It's weird because when I watch Miro, it just feels like he should just squash everybody. And like, so I'm watching him like deal with Ethan Page, and I'm like, this should have ended. But then I'm also like, they probably don't want to do that to Ethan because he is like relatively pushed to a degree, and like they would completely bitch him if he just got completely killed. But at the same time, it's like I don't want to watch Ethan Page beat on Miro for 4 minutes. So it's this weird thing where it's just like, yeah, it's like I don't want to watch this match go long, but I know why they can't squash him. So it's like it's just conflicting. But it resulted in something that's a thing on the show, like I said. And Miro won, which he should have, and he's awesome.
You got anything to add, Israel, on Miro versus Ethan Page?
Not really.
Yeah, like I said, it was fun. Like it wasn't a bad match. It wasn't.
Yeah. It just happened. It happened.
Yeah, it was just on the show. Next we got Britt Baker versus Toni Storm. I thought it started okay. I guess it got kind of rough in parts. The Rebel hater Rosa involvements were completely pointless. Rosa barely got a pop when she come out. Britt Baker's heat in the middle of matches is getting kind of criminal now. As you said earlier, her offense does look kind of shitty sometimes, and the dummy for the roll up was. I saw a lot of people jumping up and down about it. I don't know why, but
the what?
Yeah, the like the dummy for the roll up.
You talking about like when they kind of like play chicken and then bait you into rolling you up? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I saw a lot of people getting very hyped up and was like, "Oh, that was so good." Blah blah blah. Good for them. Sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But yeah, the Britt Baker heat, he's just like when she gets into that heat part of the matches, it's brutal. It is brutal, honestly. What I will say, somewhat positive though, it feels like Toni is getting bit by bit a bit more. Yeah, she's getting more and more confident, more in herself, more used to the AEW audience and wrestling in AEW in general, and just kind of
agree.
She's finding her feet, and like I said, that's one of the positives. But I feel like Britt Baker's matches probably just need a little bit of help with structure, and she just kind of needs to tighten up some more of her offense again. And because we know she can have some good matches and stuff, I feel like the internet can be quite harsh on her because she's like their top woman and stuff, and she's pushed accordingly. There is, like I said, I feel like some people go so far with it because of how heavily pushed and featured she is, but at the same time, there is definitely work to be done, in my opinion. But like I said, Toni Storm won the match, which was definitely the right decision, in my opinion.
Monty's falling asleep talking about this match. Yo.
I'm not. No, it's because I'm looking down at my phone.
You see this nigga? I'm
looking down at my phone, bro. I'm here, bro. But,
it's pretty horrible. My breakdown of this is just like with the men, the women are, some of them are for the bad bitches, some of them are not. Britt Baker, unfortunately, and it bothers me because aesthetically she looks really good. Like every time she comes out, I'm like, who did her makeup? Like who did her?
She's got great presence.
She
really does have an amazing presence. Like her hair is always on point, everything. But then for some reason, like I feel like she tries to kind of appeal to marks in a way. Like I don't know, like it's like gimmicky, but like she's trying to present herself as like real, and it just doesn't translate to me. I don't personally care for it at all. Also, when she wrestles, it's like at like half speed. I don't understand.
She does.
NXT debut. Toni Storm though, she's for everybody.
Yes.
Like, I don't like to speak for men because I couldn't care less what men think about anything, but I feel like I have a good grasp on, and I think that Toni Storm is like for everyone basically. I feel like she kind of carried that match too. It still wasn't great. There's only so much that Toni Storm can do, but Toni Storm is for the bad bitches and Britt Baker.
I completely agree. Like, here's what I'll say, Monty. This was a step up from their first match. I thought their first match was a disaster, in my opinion, personally. Toni Storm won this match, thankfully, which is the right choice. And like you said, she's getting her feet wet. Man, like I gotta be like when she walked out, like I literally went, wow. Like she just felt like a superstar. You know what I mean? Like hella presence. She looked great. She looked confident. She felt like a superhero. Just like you know what I mean. And so like I just said, wow. I thought the match was all right. You know, they kind of worked around certain things, and ultimately Toni Storm won. I think the what made the interference and Thunder Rosa save unnecessary was the fact that she walks back out after the match anyway. You know what I mean? So she walks out, leaves, and then walks out again. And so it's like you didn't really need that. You know what I mean? Like you didn't need her to run out to just randomly brawl with Jamie Hayter, unless Tony just decided. It was just an angle to do an angle. It almost felt like Tony was just like, well, I do want to do Thunder Rosa versus Jamie next week, so gotta shoot an angle somewhere. So let me just fucking do it in the middle of a match. I don't know,
bro. He needs help with that. Truth be told, I love AEW. Yeah. When it comes to angles, I feel like Tony definitely segments we spoke about very recently, like just now. The Jericho Mox Tanner thing that we just spoke about, like that was a mess.
Yes, I honestly I think you know how I said that like the opener was like excellent Crash TV. I think some of the other angles are examples of like bad Crash TV, and it's worse when you have multiple of them in a show because then you just get desensitized. And then there's also the situation of there's very much a thing like good brawling and bad brawling. And to go back on something Isra said before, she's talking about like JAS beatdowns feeling like they go too long. In my opinion on beatdowns and fighting and wrestling is they go long when it doesn't look good and it's happening for a long period of time. Like when people are hitting each other like without full impact and like the striking looks bad, you don't want to look at that for like more than like a couple seconds. And so when it's like really just shitty blows and like bad brawling for like a minute straight or 2 minutes straight, it's like kind of agonizing and a little embarrassing. Wheeler Yuta, who's normally like a great striker, right? He was pinning, I think it was Desperado in the corner, and he was giving him like cupcake elbows on his shoulder, and I couldn't like not look at it. I was like, this is really bad to look at. But yeah. So in the case of this, that was definitely an angle to set up, just to do an angle. The match was all right. I said it was a step up, and ultimately, I love Toni Storm. I'm looking forward to her wrestling Thunder Rosa. I'm glad it's on the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. That's like
that was on the show. Man.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts on that.
Yeah. So next we had the Stokely Hathaway and Willow backstage segment. I thought Willow was good. I thought Willow was quite nice here. I thought she made a good account of herself. Yeah, man, she can talk. Went back and forth with Stokely, who forgot her name. Willow accepted Jade's open challenge. I think it will be happening on Friday. I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, man. Like I said, Willow looked good here. She spoke well for herself. She's very charismatic, very bubbly, and just like infectious. She's great, man. I love Willow.
Yeah, I'm a big Willow Nightingale fan. I want to say that I don't know if it's someone specifically producing the TBS title scene or Jade and or Stokely making pitches for certain talents, but I just think that the TBS title scene, it just feels like a really colorful division. Really just interesting, unique types of wrestlers are getting involved with Jade and her orbit of storyline, whether it's Ember Moon or Chris Statlander and now Willow Nightingale.
Athena.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, Athena. It feels like the TBS title scene is becoming the Black women's division, which is like really cool. I tweeted this because it's true, and what makes it cool is like they're not all the same type of gimmick or aesthetic or style. Willow Nightingale is completely different from Athena, who is completely different from Jade. And all the people surrounding them. So I honestly, like, I've pointed this out before, it's not anyone's fault, but the TBS title is the best women's title in AEW easily. Like I said, it's a very colorful division, and I almost wonder who is making the decisions when it comes to the talents involved in it, because I think that they struck in and found the right mix of talents to get involved with that stuff. So that's kind of my thought on that.
You got anything to add, Israel?
Did you say, Israel, you're muted? Yo, I got scared. You scared the shit out of me.
All I said was it was a fun segment.
Yeah.
It was short, so it was really like nothing for me to really dive on. What's her name? I actually haven't seen this woman before. I would have to like
Willow Nightingale.
Yeah, I would have to get into her. But based off her presentation, she seems interesting. So I'm looking forward to the match. Stokely's hilarious.
Yes, very funny guy. Shout out to Stokely. Shout out to Big Stoke, man. Stoke, come on the podcast one day, bro.
He's definitely watching.
He's running from the grind.
He's running from the grind.
Yeah, man. We'll one day. We'll pattern it up. We'll pattern it up. But next up we had the Hangman Adam Page promo, which obviously led to a bunch of other shit.
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah, Hangman said that his challenge still stands for the IWGP title. Adam Cole interrupts him again, says that Okada's missing Forbidden Door, like it was just threw it out there, like it was just not fucking huge news. He then introduces Jay White, who attacks Hangman from behind. Jay White gets on the mic and says he isn't defending against Hangman, and then he bitches Adam Cole and says he isn't defending against him either. He then mentions that he's 2-0 against Adam Page. And yeah.
Bro, I forgot the segment happened, Monty. So when he got to it, I was like, oh shit. Because look, I like this show. I thought this was a very good Dynamite overall. Great atmosphere, good matches. I genuinely like there's a big bounce up for next week from last week. But man, like there was a couple of just segments on the show that just like I don't hate this as much as the Jericho segment, with the beatdown. Like it's not like that level of a mess or like just trash, but I don't like the segment either. Like I don't. I'm trying to put my finger on why. I think it's just I don't like these segments that feel like it's a live action creative meeting for like the pay-per-view. Like it almost feels like they're like trying to sort out and figure out what match they're gonna do. It's like I'm gonna wrestle this guy. Like, no, you're wrestling him. No, wait, no, what? And you know what made no sense that nobody pointed out? When Hangman came out in the bad bitch pants, he said immediately, like, I wanted to wrestle Okada for the IWGP title. My dumbass didn't realize that he could have lost the belt, and he lost the belt, but that's fine. I still want to wrestle Okada. He literally made it clear. I don't give a fuck if he's a champion or not. I want to wrestle him. And yet, I don't know, like if it was like a bad producing or miscommunications, the next two people to come out are arguing against a thing that he didn't ask for. Because Cole is like, no, you're not going to challenge for that belt because it's going to be me and Jay White. And I'm like, this nigga said he's not challenging for the belt. He said he's challenging Okada. And then Jay White's like, no, you're not going to face that. You're not going to get a shot at the IWGP championship. It's like he didn't want it. He said he's fucking good. He said he wants Okada. I'm sitting there. I'm like, bro, I was astonished. I was like, wait, did these guys get different scripts? Like, what's going on here? Because it was so confusing. And then Cole was like, no, it's gonna be me and Jay White. Jay White's like, no, it's not gonna be you or him. Then who's it gonna be? It's my era, the Switchblade era. And then the segment ends. I'm like, what the fuck? And the third thing that just made this awkward and kind of ass to me, Monty, is like, bro, Cole felt like a fucking geek. Like let's get into it. Bro, he felt like a fucking dork. Like he felt like a fanboy, just kind of like just talking on the side. And I know that was the intention of the segment for him to kind of just be that guy. But god damn, he felt like a bum. Like Jay White, like he's basically like, hey big bro, it's gonna be me and you, right, little bro? And big bro, and he's just like, no nigga, like it's not gonna be me and you, bro. Like who are you talking to? Like and then Jay White just bitches him again. I know that's the intention of the segment, but it really made Cole feel like a jabroni, you know. And in my opinion, I'm up and down on Cole's wrestling, but I've always did feel that, like, you know, he does have a cool presence, a cool vibe, and they see him as a star, so he comes off cool in segments, right? Because he's a good talker. This is the first time I think in a segment where he just felt like a geek, you know. And so I think that the confusion of what was even happening, the fact that it felt like a creative meeting in front of your face, and the added element of, I thought we were done with Hangman Page and Cole, but just seeing them in a segment together is giving me PTSD. Like, I just didn't really like this that much.
I'm so glad you said that, because I didn't understand what was going on. I mean, there was obviously a clear direction with Hangman coming out saying he's challenging Okada, but I was so confused at the interferences, and I'm like, I thought I was just being stupid and just lost and move out here. But it was just like nothing made sense. Like,
they were arguing against something he didn't even say. Hello?
What?
Oh, you didn't hear me?
What did you say?
Oh, wait. Did I go mute or something?
I didn't hear the last thing you said.
Oh, I said they were arguing against a thing Hangman didn't even say. He said, "I don't want the belt," and they're like, "No. You can have a shot. You can have a shot." I didn't want one. Like,
the thing with Adam Cole is there is, like you say about him, like kind of being like a cheerleader for Jay White recently. Yeah. Kind of, there's almost there's like an undertone to it that feels calculated, like he's up to something.
Sure.
I also feel like there is definitely something. Adam Cole's just going to kind of unveil this big master plan where he's been, not necessarily playing everyone, but kind of manipulating the situation to best suit him.
I'm sure that's what the direction is. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Adam Cole also cuts like these mark-ass promos. Oh my God. I feel like they just make him and his friends pop, but like I just don't get it. But then again, it's like sometimes I think that's just me being a hater. But
what I can tell you is you know what hit me, Monty? Like the Bullet Club and the Elite felt like the coolest things in wrestling like 5 years ago, and when they would show up for a promo or a segment on Ring of Honor or New Japan, like they legitimately felt like the cool guys of pro wrestling, and like when they repping those brands felt like you were like hot shit, right? And when Adam Cole was talking about how like it's all about the Undisputed Elite and the Bullet Club, baby, like I just in my head I was like, these are really cold factions that I don't give a fuck about, So like he's talking about it's about these guys.
I don't know if you can call Bullet Club cold right now. With how all in New Japan have gone in with them over the past few pay-per-views. But I 100% get your point and where you're going with, but it just feels like now with the Bullet Club they're trying to
they're definitely re-pushing them, reinforcing their presence in the promotion 100%. But I guess what I'm saying is like Bullet Club isn't. They're not the talk of the wrestling industry in my opinion right now. Compared to before. So Cole kind of repping them and the Undisputed Elite. I'm like, you guys aren't even like the fourth most interesting thing on your own show, So
yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
It was a bit of a disconnect from that standpoint, in my opinion.
As far as the segment goes, positive, I'd say it was. I feel like Jay White can talk.
He's a natural. He's at American TV.
Supernatural. It just feels like. Anytime when you watch him do segments and when he does his like press conferences and that for New Japan, and you watch him, you're like, this guy would be so perfect in America. And this was kind of we've seen him on AEW in his wrestled matches, but this is like the first time I think we've seen him in the ring doing like a proper like segment and doing a getting on the mic for a bit.
And there was no awkwardness about it. Like he did it totally fine. Like
he's great, man. Yeah, Jay is great. So we'll see what happens. We'll see who he defends it against.
I'm curious who that's going to be if it's not either of those two guys. Like
I don't know. I don't know how they'll get there. Who knows? They'll probably just do some messy angle next week.
He announces his opponent and
Excalibur.
Right. Listen, he announces his opponent. Cole is like, no. They have a brawl, and then like. Late in the main event, like you get a tiny graphic on the bottom left where Excalibur's like, at Forbidden Door, it's gonna be a triple throw, and he just tells you like the triple threat matchup or something,
Factual. Yeah. But let's get to. I think we got to the main event now.
I think so.
The Young Bucks versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus for the AEW Tag Team titles. I thought Jungle Boy I think it's worth singling out Jungle Boy in this. I thought he was great. Obviously, with Bucks, you know you're going to get a fantastic performance, especially from Nick. But Jungle Boy, I thought he met the level. You know, I liked I think it's anyone who's listened to this podcast before and has heard me review Luchasaurus matches probably knows I'm not his biggest fan. But I like the usage of him here. And that's not just because they kind of kept him out of the way, but literally like they'd get him to come in at certain points and he'd do like momentum changes by doing like, a power move or something crazy athletic or just something like that. They used him well, and that's something that Bucks do so well. The Bucks are so well at playing at people's strengths, no matter who it is. But yeah, this was just a great ladder match. There was a bunch of sparks. As you can expect, don't know how many table breaks, but there was a lot of them. Nick Jackson is legitimately phenomenal. That's not to take anything away from Matt, who is also very good, but I do genuinely think Nick is just that good. Yeah, it was a great, exciting ladder match with a title change. Great main event. Obviously, we'll get to the angle after we give our thoughts on the events that went on after the match. But yeah, man, I was very happy with this. The Bucks once again proving that they are just they are geniuses, man, when it comes to this shit. Like I said, when I mentioned earlier, like they're just so good at playing to people's strengths. Like you could argue the best ever at doing that. They just get everything out of all their opponents all the time. Like I said, like even the usage of Luchasaurus in this match was great. Jungle Boy met the level. Bucks being Bucks. Can't fault it, to be honest.
What I would say is this was really good and well done, and one of the a number of things kind of came up to me as I was watching it. So I don't love a lot. I don't love a lot of the AEW ladder matches with singles talents, just wrestling like as singles guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to tag ladder matches, especially with the Young Bucks, obviously because they're good at it, like their ladder matches are pretty excellent. This wasn't on the level of the Lucha Brothers one from All Out 2019. Like that was like a pretty unreal match, but this is really, really great. Like you said, Jungle Boy, this is one of his better performances. He's good at the lucha. Okay, he's good at the lucha libre type of stuff that the Young Bucks do. He is, and so him and the Bucks have good chemistry. Jungle Boy and the Bucks. So that was well done. One production thing I want to note, because yes, the result was the Young Bucks winning. I thought that was the right result. In my opinion, the thing we should do is the FTR versus Young Bucks in a trilogy ender at All Out. But a production thing I want to note out is that there were a couple times where the Young Bucks would hit Luchasaurus and he has to kind of get onto a table based off their attack. And like Luchasaurus was like awkwardly trying to position himself to get put through this table. And the good thing was the cameras would cut away from him and cut to one of the Young Buck members getting to the top turnbuckle to like not show that. And that's like a thing that AEW has improved on, because like 2 years ago, they would have showed Luchasaurus literally kind of crawling and squirming into position on the table to then basically go like, yo, you can do it now. And I used to hate that. And my whole thing was like, if you're going to do that, just don't show me as a TV viewer. Like, just show me the other guy so I don't have to fucking see it. And so that's what we've been doing now, and that's good. And so, yeah, look, man, it was a well-done ladder match. Like, there's not much to say about it. The Young Bucks are really good at this type of match. This was like one of the Jurassic Express's better recent matches. And so it was a fitting end to the show as a main event.
Mm-hmm. You got anything to add, Israel? You're on mute again, by the way.
Yeah. I actually didn't watch the match, but I did see clips of it. I saw the point when Christian turned heel and then basically confronted Jungle Boy's mom and said she was a piece of shit. That
yeah.
I love Christian, and so yeah, I fuck with that. But no, I didn't get to watch the match yet, but so I can't comment on that. But I did pop for Christian's heel turn.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. No, yeah, the Christian heel turn, obviously, it happened after. Jungle Boy, obviously, deflated, just lost the match, beat up. Christian's helping him out the ring. And then all of a sudden, he isn't. Hits his finisher on him, hits him with a concerto. and then the show live finished. But after the show, on the fight feed, we kind of got to see all the fallout, which happens quite a lot, to be fair, which is one of the better things about being a Brit wrestling fan. It's like the treat for staying up until 3-4 a.m. in the morning.
You get to see some of the extra stuff.
Yeah. So, but yeah, after the TV feed finished, Israel just mentioned it. She must have seen a clip of it where Christian gets out of the ring and he starts going back and forth with the mom and sister, and he's saying Jungle Boy's a piece of shit. Ray's a piece of shit. He's gonna have to eat his cake through a straw. Fucking the mom and sister are flipping him off with the bird. They're throwing insults back and forth. It was great, and it's bad. And this will probably pop Chris in the chat and Rob if he's in it as well. But as soon as even though the TV didn't see it, but as soon as I saw Christian going back and forth with the parents and saying all that shit, like saying you've raised a piece of shit, one of the first things that came to mind was that this heel run's already better than what Edge has done.
I did think of Edge too, but for a different reason. So here's my thing. Good angle, right? Good angle. Most people saw this coming. I'm looking forward to seeing heel Christian. And so this should be very good for Jungle Boy. I was messaged this by Nova, who has his own YouTube channel. He's known as Open the Dream Glee on social media. He said he wanted me to kind of get this out there, and I agree with him, which is that this will be for Jungle Boy, hopefully, if done well, what the CM Punk program did for MJF. And that's a really high bar to clear, like a really high bar. Yeah. But I do think this will be really good for Jungle Boy and hopefully get something out of him that we haven't seen yet. In regards to the angle, it's funny, Monty, because I don't know what it was. As he's like slowly kind of getting ready to do the concerto and making the facial expressions and laboriously getting to finishing off Jungle Boy, all of a sudden, I don't know if it's confirmation bias or placebo, it felt like an Edge segment. Not in a bad way at all. Not in a bad way. It just really felt like, wow, he really is Edge's best friend. You know, like it felt like
a prime Edge segment. Or when Edge switches that mode, you know.
Yeah, it felt like they just kind of have the same brain when it comes to this type of stuff, and it's like this is just their natural way to go about doing this part of the segment. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so like the way he just at the pace at which he's doing it, you know what I mean, and like building up to it and being dramatic and looking at the camera and looking sinister and pulling the first chair and like caressing his head as he gets ready to fucking take him out. It was very similar, and so that's what I have to say about that. I thought it was a good closing angle. It was the right time to do this. It was the right time to put the belt on the Bucks, and so I'm happy with all of that. And ultimately, even though I was really negative on two of the promo segments on the show, I thought it was a good Dynamite overall. Like a very good show, actually. I thought there was a lot of really strong wrestling, and I thought it was a massive step up from last week's show. And so I feel positively about the show. And I am looking forward to Forbidden Door, even though I think the build is a little clunky and awkward. It very much feels like Tony Khan making matches, writing it on a piece of paper, and like trying to just shit it out on TV, like just make it make sense. And like it's kind of messy the way he does that. And it's a testament to, I guess, just like the talent on the show and the way they put their show on, that like even though a lot of that is messy, they can still have good shows in spite of that. And that's kind of how I felt about this week.
Yeah, it was a good show. It didn't, like you said, the angles and stuff leading to Forbidden Door hasn't exactly fired me up too much for it.
No.
Someone mentioned it to me the other day, but like they're seriously considering not ordering a pay-per-view, and I was like, to be honest, I get it. If you're not if you're not one of the people who was always going to buy it, I get it, if that makes sense. But at the end of the day, we're getting Tanahashi versus Mox. Would I like Ospreay to be facing someone better? Would I like, well, not even someone better, because Orange Cassidy's good, but someone with like, you know, a higher standing in the card. And I know that, you know, Tony likes Orange Cassidy and all this and that, but let's be honest, like he's not. Like I said, nobody was fantasy booking Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. Not one person. Didn't see it once. You know, I'm on Twitter way much more than I'd like to admit. Did not see that take once. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's got Tanahashi versus Mox on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pop.
Check your DMs while you're talking, Monty. But yes,
the novelty of the show will be a pop. The crowd's gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
man. But yeah, let's wrap up the show. Let's wrap it up. We've done the AEW Dynamite review. We've given our thoughts on Vinnie Mac, Sasha, Randy Orton, amongst a bunch of other things. But yeah, that was WrestlePurists podcast number 23. Please like, subscribe, keep in touch with us for more updates and stuff. Follow
Let's
us
give
on
a round
Twitter
of applause for Israel. It was her first. It was her debut on the show. You know what I'm saying? I thought she did great. You know, we didn't go over anything behind the scenes. We didn't. You know, we just said, "Listen, we're going to go out there." And I thought she did really good for her first podcast appearance.
Yeah, it was great having Israel. Hopefully, we'll have him back.
Y'all want me to come back, or if I suck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Let's get some feedback from Israel. I thought she did a great job. I'd love to have her back. I'd love to make this if nothing else, a semi-regular thing. And Tony Khan, you're welcome. I'm trying to. Sure, absolutely. Tony Khan, you're welcome. I'm trying to get more. You know, I'm trying to get more pretty women to watch the product. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man.
Shit kicked out of them. What's going on?
You're better than Monty and SA Boy. Listen, Monty, I guess we found the superstar. I guess you know what I mean.
Yeah, man. It was all bits aside. It was great having you on Israel. To be honest,
absolutely.
This is the first time we've spoke other than like passing comments on a space or something. And yeah, man, it was good. It's always good to have new faces on.
100%.
Hollywood has been wanting to make this happen for a minute now. Not to blow his cover or anything, but. Yeah, man, it was good to have you on. Obviously, we've had a good time because it's been over 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've kept it about over 100 viewers on most of the stream. So we've obviously done something right. It appears that Isra is a legit draw. Yeah. She's better than me and Hangman, apparently. So, yeah, she's drawing the house, putting on 4-star matches.
Let's get this to over 1,000 views in 24 hours. That's the goal I want to do. Let's get this to 1,000 in 24 hours.
Let's wrap it up because I know Israel's got to get out of here. So
yeah.
Like, subscribe, follow us at WrestlePurists. Hit up the website WrestlePurists.com. I'm sure most of you all know what you can get up there. And Hollywood, Israel, if you got anything to plug. If you want to put yourselves over, give out your Twitter handles, anything like that.
My Twitter handle is on the screen. My Instagram is in my Twitter bio. If you don't have Twitter, it's Raaswar, RAAISWAR. That's it. That's it for me. Thank you guys for having me. This was like
absolutely
really exciting.
Yeah. Thank you, Israel. I'm fired up about how well you did. Listen, follow me at Backup Hangman. That's at Backup Hangman on Twitter. You know the vibes. You know what I'm all about. You know what I'm saying? Just check me out on Twitter, and it's just another week, another Thursday on WrestlePurists. So thanks for having me, Monty.
Yeah, we'll be back. I may be back on Sunday with Joe, but I know he's on holiday, and he's probably the last thing he's gonna want to do when he gets back from Portugal is sit on a podcast with me talking about wrestling. So. We'll see what happens. If not, I'm sure this spot here next Thursday, it'll be me and Hollywood again. Maybe joined by Isra, maybe joined by Rob and Chris, maybe joined by AO. We're not sure. We kind of do this shit on the fly. We're not as organised as we pretend to be.
No.
Hollywood will definitely be late again. And,
I'll be very late. Fuck, one of these days, fuck it, let's do a battle royal in this shit, bro. Just six people. Fuck it. Let's see what happens. See how chaotic it gets and how long it takes for everyone to get their thoughts out.
It'll be crazy, bro. It'll be crazy. Everyone will be talking over each other. It'll
be
like a Twitter.
That'll take like 3 hours to get through.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, man. We'll be back soon. Again, like, subscribe, follow, all of the good stuff, and we'll catch you on the other side. Peace.